Chapter 1. Brain Storage Intersection. High-end ingredients often only require the most primitive cooking methods. Suck? Hey, look. He is the man of the hour in our school, the provincial champion in this college entrance examination. Xiao Mo. Wow. Is he Xiao Mo? As expected, he is just as handsome as the rumors say. It's my thing. Stop your nymphomaniac ways. What's the use of being handsome? It is said that he is the only unemployed person in our school. The future is dark. Isn't it? There are still people who cannot awaken their profession these days. This is the first time I have heard of it. Without the awakening profession, wouldn't it mean that even a machine girl can't pilot it? In this case, he will be useless for the rest of his life. He is indeed of no use. The other party withdrew a nympho girl and gave you a sympathetic look. Sure. Keep your voice down. It won't be good if he hears you. In the corner of the school corridor, several girls were whispering to each other, discussing the boy who passed by them. The boy is wearing a white school uniform with short sleeves and a simple and refreshing short hair. He looks youthful, sunny, and full of energy. The voices of these girls talking were not loud, but they were clearly heard in Xiao Mo's ears. Since the awakening ceremony, he has heard similar words countless times. My ears are almost calloused. Xiao Mo sighed slightly and walked over, ignoring these girls. This is a planet called Earth. There is a special species of machine girls in this world. The so-called machine girl is a species that looks the same as a human girl, but is different from carbon-based life forms like humans on the inside. It has no heart, lungs, kidneys, and other internal organs, and has a very strong physical fitness. When they remain in human form, their appearance is no different from that of girls. They also have their own thoughts and wisdom, but they are much stronger than humans. But after forming a contract with a professional, they can expand into cool and powerful mechas. In cooperation with the professionals who drive them, they can demonstrate unparalleled combat effectiveness. Therefore, the school will uniformly allow students over 18 years old to participate in the awakening ceremony after the college entrance examination. And Xiao Mo is the first unemployed person in history who cannot awaken. He has the aura of being the provincial champion, but he is demoted to nothing because of the title of unemployed person. Advertisement everywhere I go I get pointed at. Xiao Mo himself didn't care at all about this. What they didn't know was that Xiao Mo was actually a time traveler. Unlike the original inhabitants of the Earth planet, they naturally cannot awaken as professionals. But as a time traveler, he has a system. There is no problem that the system cannot solve. But before that, he must complete the first task. System mission: make a contract with the machine girl. Condition: the machine girl's psychic attribute points must be greater than or equal to 90. Complete the mission to unlock the only hidden profession, Psychic Warrior, and gain 5 MP points. PS. MP points can be used to permanently improve the machine girl's attributes. Although the system does not introduce the profession of Psychic Warrior, but judging from the experience of a senior bookworm, occupations with prefixes like unique and hidden are definitely not weak. Therefore, for Xiao Mo, the most urgent thing now is to conclude a contract with Jin Yang. For ordinary people, the most direct way to obtain a machine girl is to go to the machine girl auction house to auction it. The price of machine girls is not cheap. Even the starting price of a machine with inferior performance is around several $100,000. The final transaction price will not be less than 1 million. For an ordinary family, such a price will almost consume a generation's lifetime savings. Not to mention that Xiao Mo's family is only the lowest working class. There's no way I can afford that much money. But this is not a problem at all for Xiao Mo. In order to motivate students, the state will award a computer to the top candidate in the college entrance examination in each province, and it is the kind with top performance. As the top scorer in the college entrance examination in Hangzhou City, Xiao Mo naturally has this reward. He has received the notice now and is going to the principal's office to pick up the machine. I don't know what the machine girl that the country awarded me looks like. Is it a royal sister who is over 1.7 meters tall, or a petite Lolita? As we all know, the body shape, personality, performance, and other parameters of the machine girl are determined the moment it is released. Every machine is also unique. In addition, after contracting a machine girl, they will live with the driver. This couldn't help but make Xiao Mo, a young innocent boy with 2 lives, a little excited. Just when he was full of reverie, a black shadow suddenly pounced on him. Xiao Mo reacted instinctively and dodged to the side, preparing to avoid it. But the black figure was obviously faster than him. The next second, a thick arm wrapped around Xiao Mo's shoulder. Immediately afterwards, he felt a huge force on his shoulders, and his body sank involuntarily. If it weren't for the fact that he was born into a kung fu family in his previous life, and he still retained the habit of practicing kung fu every day after time travel, I was afraid that I might have been crushed and fell to the ground just now. Advertisement, but the other party was obviously not prepared to hurt Xiao Mo. The moment his body sank, the huge force was removed. Then a familiar voice sounded next to him. Hee, I finally succeeded in a sneak attack. In the past, every sneak attack was avoided by you. It seems that after awakening, all physical qualities have improved a lot than before. By the way, Xiao Mo, where are you going? Turning his head, what he saw was a young man with a short head and a somewhat fat body. His name is Su Yunian, nicknamed Su Xiaoping, and he is Xiao Mo's best friend. The other students all stayed away from Xiao Mo after the awakening ceremony, but he was different. Not only does he not look at himself through colored glasses, he also often makes suggestions to help him awaken his career. In Su Xiaoping's words, everyone's development speed and situation are different. Just like some girls, they are proud of themselves at a young age. Some people are still flat no matter how they develop. The reason why I haven't awakened my profession is probably because my development is relatively slow. So during this period, he has been advocating taking Xiao Mo to experience the big meal that adults like to eat. It is said that under this kind of stimulation, physical development will definitely be promoted. Maybe he will wake up. Xiao Mo politely declines Su Xiaoping's kindness every time. He is already an organic girl right away. How could he make a mistake in something like this? What would you think of yourself if your girlfriend found out? Looking at Su Xiaoping, who was smiling heartlessly as usual, Xiao Mo said bluntly, Of course I'm going to the principal's office to receive the reward. Want to be together? Everyone knows that the top scorer in the college entrance examination can receive a top-notch machine girl as a national reward, and it is not a secret. At this time in the past, the principal would have been eager to make the awards ceremony a grand event, so that everyone will know that their school has a provincial champion, and at the same time, they will do a wave of publicity. But this time, because the provincial champion was Xiao Mo, an unemployed person, he didn't even hold an award ceremony, but quietly called Xiao Mo into the office. You don't need to think about it to know that you are definitely not holding back anything good. After all, everyone knows that giving a machine girl to a person who has not awakened the profession will not be able to bring out the value of the machine girl. It is a complete waste. What's more, it's a top-notch machine. Xiao Mo also knew this very well. I won't go in, but I will wait for you at the door of the office to be your strongest support. If you need help, just call me. I'm always on hand. Su Xiaoping patted his round belly and vowed. Xiao Mo nodded, opened the door and walked in. Sure enough, besides the principal, there were two other people sitting in the office. One of them he knew was Song Bowen, who had the second highest score in the college entrance examination. The other man in a straight suit is a middle-aged man who looks somewhat similar to Song Bowen. When Xiao Mo entered, Song Bowen was staring at a tall girl with greedy eyes. To be precise, he was staring at a computer. Chapter 2. This is the first time Xiao Mo has witnessed the elegance of the machine girl at such a close distance. It was a girl with bright sapphire eyes, shining like the brightest star in the night sky. A pair of long legs as white as jade, standing on stiletto heels, like slender green bamboos. Nearly a year old, the height of 8 meters is like a mountain peak reaching into the clouds, tall and majestic. She put one hand on her waist and wore a corset that vividly outlined her S-curved figure, like a beautiful work of art. Her golden hair fell down on her shoulders like a waterfall. Combined with her charming appearance, she was even more beautiful than 99% of female stars, like a fairy descending to earth. No wonder Song Bowen showed a dumbfounded expression. Xiao Mo couldn't help but exclaimed, This is the machine girl. She is exactly as described in the textbook. She looks exactly like a human girl. If it weren't for the help of the system, Xiao Mo could see the data panel appearing in front of the mecha. He was really not sure that such a charming girl would be a mecha that could unfold into a mecha. Machine Girl, Xingyao Performance Attributes. Strength, 90 Armor, 77 Psionics, 62 Armed, 75 Battery Life, 80 Speed Increase, 67 Flexible, 70 Stable, 76 Evaluation. This is a top-notch mecha with an average attribute of over 70 and a strength attribute of 90. If you can contract the driver of this mecha, you will have fun. Xiao Mo hadn't finished reading the information on the computer when he saw the principal standing up and saying with a sneer on his face, Xiao Mo, you are here. This is Song Bowen, who ranks second in the school in college entrance examination scores. I think you should know him. Next, I want to focus on Song Yaozu, one of the directors of Guangyao Group. He is also the father of Song Bowen. Then, he said earnestly to Song Yaozu, Director Song, this is Xiao Mo. After saying that, the two looked at each other. In just a moment, Song Yaozu withdrew his gaze. But even for just a moment, Xiao Mo could see a trace of disdain and contempt in the other person's eyes. Guangyao Group, as one of the top consortiums in Hangzhou, Xiao Mo had naturally heard of. He still remembered that the biggest sponsor of the Hangqing Guangwei Middle School where he studied was the Guangyao Group. The logo of Guangyao Group, a dazzling sun, is engraved on the stone tablet erected at the school gate. Xiao Mo didn't quite understand why he would come if he came to receive the reward. The next second, the principal's voice sounded, interrupting his thoughts. Ahem, Xiao Mo. First of all, I want to congratulate you for getting the first place in the provincial level in this college entrance examination. This is the first time since the founding of our school. Ha ha ha. Advertisement Song Yaozu, who was sitting on the sofa, glanced at him impatiently, and the principal immediately changed the subject. There is something I have to inform you. Wasn't there a school-wide awakening ceremony held some time ago, but unfortunately, because you didn't awaken your profession, so? The school leaders unanimously discussed and decided to cancel your machine girl reward and change it to a 1 million bonus. This machine girl was awarded to Song Bowen, who ranked second in the school's exam results. What did you say? Although Xiao Mo had already been mentally prepared, it might not be that easy to take away the reward issued by the country to the provincial champion today. But he didn't expect that the school would privately decide to cancel his award and change it to a bonus of 1 million. You know, the starting price of a top-level mobile phone at the auction house starts at 10 million, which is 10 times the bonus given by the school. Not to mention that the transaction price will double several times on this basis. Therefore, Xiao Mo didn't buy it at all. What's even more hateful is that the girl who was originally going to be rewarded to him was decided to be rewarded to someone else without his permission. I disagree. Even if I don't have an awakened career, the machine girl is a reward for me. What authority do you have to make such a decision? When asked by Xiao Mo, the principal obviously felt guilty and glanced at Song Yaozu, who was sitting aside. Xiao Mo immediately realized that this matter was probably instigated by Song Yaozu, the director of Guangyao Group. However, this is also the case. The school does not have the right to cancel the award. The reason why they did this was because Song Yaozu and Song Bowen were obsessed with Xiao Mo's girlfriend. The principal also felt that no one else could be blamed for doing this. If he was to blame, he could only blame Xiao Mo himself for not awakening his profession. The next second, the man's cold voice sounded, Xiao Mo, the first unemployed person in history. Since you can't awaken your profession, then this top-level machine girl is a complete waste in your hands. She simply couldn't be as valuable as she should have been. Rather than letting you waste your natural resources like this, it is better to hand her over to other capable awakeners. For example, my son, Song Bowen. He is more suitable to be the driver of this machine than you are. Of course, as compensation, I can arrange another job for you within Guangyao Group. Song Yaozu's tone was very strong. He didn't even look at himself when he spoke, as if he was giving an order directly. That feeling is like judging oneself, so majestic. Before Xiao Mo could answer, the principal beside him spoke first and said sincerely, Xiao Mo, if I remember correctly, it's not easy for your father to raise you by himself, right? He is the lowest worker. For them, 1 million is equivalent to more than 10 years of income, which is already a lot. And this is not just a simple transaction. When you give your machine girl to Song Bowen, it is equivalent to making a friend like Director Song. With Director Song's status, I don't know how many people lined up to make friends with him, but none of them had such an opportunity. Advertisement, this is all human nature. You are in great luck. Think about it. With the power and industry of Guangyao Group in Hangzhou, if you want to enter these companies, isn't it just a matter of a word from Director Song? With this relationship, what are you worried about? For ordinary people who have no awakening career, having a stable and high-paying job and retiring safely is the most correct choice. Drink. These two people assign their roles to each other, and even Xiao Mo couldn't help but clap his hands and applaud. Xiao Mo finally understood that they just wanted him to agree to Song Yaozu and hand over this top-notch machine called Xingyao to Song Bowen for 1 million, and to be their slave for the rest of his life. Can this be agreed to? To put it bluntly, as long as the news that he wants to sell the top-notch machine girl is spread, there are so many consortiums in Hangzhou. Why don't they go crazy? 1 million more? As long as you are not a fool, you will never agree to their almost rude request. As for what the principal said about worldliness, with his actions like this, Song Yaozu, does he deserve to be called a human being? As a man of 2 generations, does he still rarely see this kind of capitalist method of exploiting the people at the bottom? Xiao Mo was sure that if he sold Xingyao to them, he would be completely worthless to Song Yaozu and the others. The other party can even turn his back on the person directly. To put it bluntly, I just felt that a poor student like me, who had no background and no power, was easy to bully. So I planned to do a wave of $0 purchases. But what they didn't know was that it wasn't that Xiao Mo couldn't awaken his profession, but that the time hadn't come yet. Once he signs a contract with the machine girl, he can awaken the only hidden profession, the psychic warrior. It's a pity that the machine girl Xing Yao only has 62 points of psychic energy, which does not meet the system conditions. But that doesn't mean he's willing to give it away. Therefore, he refused without hesitation. Sorry, Principal, I will not give this machine to Song Bowen. As soon as these words came out, the temperature in the office immediately dropped to freezing point. Especially Song Bowen, he looked at Xiao Mo as if he were looking at an enemy. Ever since he saw Xing Yao for the first time, he had already regarded this top-notch machine as his own. I can't wait to sign a contract with Xing Yao immediately. In addition, with his father sitting in charge and the principal fanning the flames, he believed that this matter was definitely a sure thing. What I didn't expect was that Xiao Mo actually refused. How dare he, a jobless person? However, Song Bowen did not show his emotions. Because he still has a hand. It's a pity that you don't have the final say on this matter. He turned around and walked up to Jin Yang, who had been staying in the corner without saying a word the whole time, and began to say, Xing Yao, you have also seen that Xiao Mo does not have the aura of a professional at all. Are you willing to stay with such a jobless person and risk your future in vain? Chapter 3. When Song Bowen mentioned the words unemployed, Xiao Mo saw that Xing Yao's brows wrinkled visibly. As a top machine girl, she is definitely stronger than other ordinary machine girls. But after unfolding into a mecha, the overall combat power is determined by the driver and the mecha. In cooperation with the driver who has awakened as a professional, the machine girl can display powerful professional skills. But if the person driving her is an unemployed person, it means that she has to go straight A all the way. Anyone who has played games knows how big the gap is between the two. Xing Yao is naturally very aware of this. Seeing that his words had an effect, Song Bowen glanced at Xiao Mo proudly and continued to increase his firepower. Unlike Xiao Mo, I have awakened the rare profession of Sunset Warrior. Not only has powerful melee capabilities, but also excellent assassination skills. Following me is definitely 10,000 times better than following this trash like Xiao Mo. As he spoke, Song Bowen showed his professional aura. The next second, a shadow wearing dark red armor and holding a samurai sword appeared behind him, walking slowly towards him. The moment he and Song Bowen's bodies overlapped, a chilling aura filled the air, making Xiao Mo couldn't help but be startled. What a terrifying smell. Is this a professional? Even if he had a certain foundation in Kung Fu, facing Song Bowen at this time, he knew that he had no chance of winning. Although he had felt a similar atmosphere countless times during the awakening ceremony held in the school. But this was the first time that Song Bowen could make the hair on his back stand on end. When he looked at Jin Yang Xing Yao, he was shocked to find that the other person's sapphire-like eyes were shining with excitement. Obviously, he is very interested in Song Bowen, who has awakened the rare profession of Sunset Warrior. You know, among the thousands of students in the entire school, only 2 people have awakened to the rare profession, which is truly rare. The skills of this type of profession are more mysterious and powerful than those of ordinary professions. No wonder Xing Yao showed such an excited expression now. At this moment, Xiao Mo had already anticipated what the outcome would be. After all, the robot girls in this world are not machines. Like humans, they all have thoughts and ideas, and have their own judgments. On one side are the non-professionals, and on the other side are the owners of rare professions. The answer is obvious. He can't escape this wave of backstabbing. Feel sorry, Xiao Mo. I decided to follow Song Bowen and become his machine girl. Therefore, when Xing Yao stood next to Song Bowen and said sorry to himself with a cold face, Xiao Mo's heart was as calm as water, without any ripples. The psychic attribute of Xing Yao's machine girl did not reach 90, and it did not meet the contract standards required by the system. Advertisement, even if she chooses to follow him, Xiao Mo won't be able to make a contract with her for a while. If he wanted to go to the auction house to take pictures of camera girls, he really wouldn't be able to afford it given his family conditions. Unless the Xing Yao, a top-notch machine, is sold. But with Xiao Mo's character, if Xing Yao chose him, he would definitely not be willing to sell her out. This also led to the fact that he would be unable to complete the system mission and awaken the psychic warrior. But that doesn't mean the matter is over. Whether it was Song Bowen who bought and sold by force, or Xing Yao, the machine girl who betrayed him, Xiao Mo has recorded this account. How about it? Now you have nothing to say, right? This is the difference between you and me. Not only that, starting from today, this gap will only get wider and wider. I will stand at a height that you can never reach. You will only be able to look up to me in this life. Song Bowen stood in front of Xiao Mo with a victor's attitude, stretched out his hand to wrap around the waist of Xingyao, the machine girl. His eyes were full of provocation. For him, the shame of losing to Xiao Mo in the college entrance examination disappeared at this moment. After the dust settled, Song Yaozu stood up straight away and said to Song Bowen, "Let's go, contract machine girl. There are still a lot of things waiting for you to do. There is no need to stay here and waste time." Looking at their leaving figures, Xiao Mo's eyes were cold. You are right. The gap between us will become wider and wider. Just when the principal was about to say something to comfort Xiao Mo suddenly turned around and stretched out a hand towards him. What do you mean? Xiao Mo looked at the confused principal and said coldly, "Here is my reward, headmaster." Didn't your wife follow Song Bowen? Xiao Mo _no. I mean the 1 million bonus. You said it yourself, and after discussion with the school leaders, it was decided to change my reward into a 1 million bonus. The principal reacted and then remembered that Song Yaozu, the instigator behind this incident, had not given him 1 million yet. At this moment, it was too late for him to chase him out. There was no way. In order to prevent Xiao Mo from making the matter bigger, he had to pay the 1 million out of his own pocket first. Seeing the bank card being forcefully taken away from his hand, the principal's eyes were filled with tears. I will report to Guangyao Group in 2 days and say that we will expand the scale, build a new teaching building, and take the opportunity to get back this million. Advertisement. When Xiao Mo came out of the principal's office with his bank card, Su Xiaopeng immediately came up to him and defended him. This guy Song Bowen is really disgusting. He actually kidnapped your girl. If it weren't for the fact that he is the young master of the Guangyao Group, I would definitely help you get the machine girl back. Su Xiaopeng had such an angry expression that he thought he was the one who had the camera taken away, not Xiao Mo. In this regard, Xiao Mo also joked, "It seems you heard everything just now. Then when I was beaten by them, why didn't you come in and help me?" So, brotherhood disappears, right? Su Xiaopeng was startled, suddenly frightened, and stammered. Who said that? What's the relationship between the two of us? We are good brothers whose love is stronger than theirs. Even if the sea and rocks are destroyed, our brotherhood will not change at all. Even if the mountains have no edges and the heaven and the earth are in harmony. Okay, I'm just kidding you. Don't make such disgusting remarks. I don't want to spit out the steamed buns I ate this morning, which cost several dollars. Before Xiao Mo could get goosebumps all over the floor, he quickly stopped Su Xiaopeng from continuing to use his mental attack, and then walked quickly towards the school gate. Su Xiaopeng showed a row of big white teeth, smiled naively, and followed. Xiao Mo, where are you going now? My dad gave me 5 million and asked me to buy a mobile phone. Do you want to go with me and help you look for something? Xiao Mo's expression froze and he said in disbelief, "Take less? You said your father gave you a small amount of money?" Su Xiaopeng took out a bank card and waved it in front of Xiao Mo. 5 million. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, after the college entrance examination, my dad had a showdown with me. He said that his family's assets were in the tens of millions, and the reason why he hid it from me was to follow the principle of a poor man raising a son and a rich daughter. I'm afraid that I won't study hard after knowing that my family is rich. So I didn't tell me the truth until after the college entrance examination. Xiao Mo felt his head was buzzing, and he couldn't hear clearly what Su Xiaopeng said next. Xiao Mo, okay, only my poor world has been achieved. Passerby, I hung up my good brother and beat him for 2 hours, but he still didn't admit that he was a rich second generation. What should I do? Wait online. Urgent. Chapter 4. 10 days ago, Galaxy Auction House. Great. I finally got it done. A girl and a robot danced with excitement. As the largest Mecha Girl auction site in Hangzhou, a batch of Mecha Girls would be sent in for auction every once in a while. Needless to say, this machine has good performance and will attract bidders to snap it up as soon as the brochure is sent out. Of course, there are also some phones with poor performance that fail to sell. This type of Mecha Girl will be kept until the next auction and continue to be auctioned. But this situation will not last long. Because the auction house has a rule that if a Mecha Girl fails to sell for 5 consecutive times, she will be sent away. Her ability to unfold into a mecha will be washed away, and she will be transformed into a functional Mecha Girl. For example, medical-type Mecha Girl, guard-type Mecha Girl, even nanny-type Mecha Girl, etc. The reason why the girl was so excited just now was because it was finally bought by someone during the 5th auction. She escaped the fate of being transformed into a functional mecha girl. However, the other girl standing next to her was not so lucky. It was a girl who was about 1.6 meters tall, with silver hair like the bright moon in the night sky, emitting a bright silver light. Among the group of mecha girls, this height is as petite as a child. However, underneath the tight corset lies an amazingly proud figure, like a shining pearl, emitting charming brilliance. Judging from her appearance alone, this kind of girl is undoubtedly the dream lover of otakus, and she is fascinating. It's a pity that at this moment, the girl's eyes were filled with a loneliness like thick fog, because this auction is also her 5th auction. But unfortunately, no one was willing to take a photo of her. You know, in order to increase the success rate, her starting price this time has been lowered to only 10,000. This is only a few tenths, or even a few hundredths of the other girls. But even so, no one is interested in her. That's because she has an extremely fatal flaw. Her armor attribute is almost 0. All machines will undergo performance testing after leaving the factory. Through performance testing, we can get a general understanding of the abilities and attributes of the mecha girl. Based on these attributes and abilities, the mecha girls will be given different starting prices. The stronger the ability and the higher the attribute, the higher the starting price will naturally be. These will be written in the brochure. Among them, one of the attributes that people value most is armor. The armor attribute determines the upper limit of damage that the mecha girl can withstand after unfolding into a mecha. Once the damage sustained in battle exceeds this upper limit, the pain of the damage will be simultaneously felt by the driver. After all, the driver is immortal, unlike the mecha girl who has a body of steel. Once the damage caused by the monster's powerful force is transmitted to the driver, although it will not cause direct damage to the body, it will cause great stimulation to the driver's nerves. Advertisement: in mild cases, the patient may faint from the pain, while in severe cases, the patient may suffer permanent damage to the nervous system or paralysis, which is extremely fatal. The armor attribute of this mecha is unexpectedly low. During testing, her armor failed after only one attack. When choosing mecha girls, people will default to skip those with too low armor attributes. Not to mention a mecha girl like her who has almost 0 armor. If a mecha girl like this were to be contracted to fight monsters, it would be tantamount to committing suicide. This meant that all 5 of her auctions were doomed to fail. Congratulations, Qiling. Finally, I don't have to stay in the auction house anymore. The silver-haired girl said congratulations, but her heart felt as if she had sunk into an icy cave. Qiling, who came to the auction house at the same time as him, has already taken the first step. The choices waiting for her are to become a functional mecha girl or to go back to school and be retrained. Generally speaking, no girl would choose to go back to school for retraining on her own initiative, because for the mecha girl, that is equivalent to death. But this does not mean that becoming a functional mecha girl will make you much stronger. Every mecha girl is filled with the passion to pursue glory on the battlefield from the moment it leaves the factory. They are eager to fight monsters, which is the ultimate mission of the mecha girls. No machine girl would be willing to become a functional machine girl. Moreover, once transformed into a functional mecha, it can no longer be expanded into a mecha. This means saying goodbye to the battlefield forever, let alone the glory of the battlefield. At this moment, the enthusiasm in the silver-haired girl's heart seemed to be extinguished by a basin of cold water. After all, having experienced so many genres together, Qiling sympathized with the silver-haired machine girl's plight. She gritted her teeth and begged, "Master, please, can you buy her too? Her price is very low, only 10,000. If the auction fails again, she will be transformed into a functional robot girl." Qiling had tears in her eyes. She really couldn't bear to see that scene. But after her master saw the introduction of this machine girl, he was so frightened that he repeatedly rejected it. "No. A robot girl with almost no armor. What's the use even if I take it away? Driving her to give heads to monsters? Even if she is photographed and raised, she still drinks nutrient solution, right? Don't you need to spend money to buy nutrient solution? But this is her 5th auction. If the auction fails again, she will be..." Advertisement: let me say it one last time. My money did not come from the strong wind. If you keep talking nonsense, believe it or not, I will send you to be transformed into a functional machine girl. Seeing that he was really angry, the silver-haired machine girl was afraid that he would really send Qiling to be reformed. So she quickly waved her hands and said, "It's okay, you don't have to worry about me." I suddenly felt that it would be good to be a functional machine girl. At least you don't have to fight on the battlefield. Fighting monsters should be quite painful, She forced herself to smile and say these words, but her lonely eyes still betrayed her. Who would be willing to become a functional machine girl if they didn't have to? In fact, if you exclude the attribute flaw of armor, she is a machine girl with very excellent performance. But in the eyes of the driver, as long as the armor is not up to standard, no matter how strong the other attributes are, it is useless. After all, no one wants to play with their own lives. After Qi Ling was taken away by her master, the person in charge of the auction house came over. The light in the silver-haired machine girl's eyes dimmed, and she lowered her head silently. "You're here to take me to reform, right? Let's go." After that, he started to walk out the door. But the person in charge stopped her. In fact, I am here to tell you that the person responsible for taking you to the transformation has asked for leave. So I have to wait until the next auction is over before I can take you for renovation. I'd like to trouble you to stay here for a while. Of course, this also means that you still have another chance to auction. Hope you have good luck with the next auction. Okay, I get it. Thank you. The silver-haired girl nodded and forced a smile. A chance for a sixth auction? This may not change anything for her. At most, it is equivalent to giving her death sentence a reprieve for a few days. No pilot would want a machine girl like me with almost zero armor. The silver-haired girl stood quietly in front of the window like a sculpture, looking up at the vast starry sky. The night wind was like a gentle hand, gently caressing her delicate cheek and gently blowing a strand of hair on her temples. The moonlight was like water, shining on her body, and her expression was as lonely as that withered flower. In the moist eyes, there seemed to be countless stars passing by like shooting stars. If the next auction still fails, I will choose to go back to the drawing board and rebuild it. Chapter 5. Back in time, the entrance to the Galaxy auction house was crowded and lively. Xiao Mo and Su Yunian squeezed their heads and finally bought tickets for the seats at the back. There is no way. It is the graduation season, and a large number of graduates who have awakened to good careers are preparing to buy themselves a mobile phone. This does not include those whose families have little money and whose awakening careers are not very good. In this world, not every awakened professional will choose a contract machine girl. On the one hand, the reason is that the price of mobile phone is not low, and ordinary families cannot afford it. You know, machine girls are just like people. They need to eat. If they don't take in the nutrient solution, they will enter standby mode because their battery life is exhausted. The price of nutrient solution is much more expensive than human food. Buying a mobile phone is equivalent to raising a big eater. Not to mention the combat weapon modules that will be purchased later in order to increase combat power. On the other hand, the reason is that most people are not awakened to fighting professions, such as chefs, maintenance workers, and other occupations. The professional skills of this kind of people are not suitable for fighting, and of course there is no need to contract a machine girl. Even if you contract a machine girl, you won't be able to exert much combat power on the battlefield. So I started working hard in the workplace early and started a career as a bull. Dear guests, welcome to the Galaxy Auction House. In order to cope with the graduation season, our auction house has specially launched a large number of new robots. Here, I wish every distinguished guest can bid for the most satisfactory machine girl. Now, the auction officially begins. Under the passionate speech of the host, the auction kicked off. The originally noisy auction venue immediately became quiet. Everyone stared intently at the first machine girl to take the stage. Although every cam girl looks different, without exception, no cam girl is not good-looking. Su Yunian was even more gearing up, and his eyes almost popped out. Rather than her appearance, the first thing Xiao Mo paid attention to was the machine girl's attributes. In this world, people can roughly understand the attributes of machine girls through tests. But it's not like Xiao Mo, who can discern the exact attributes at a glance. At this time, in Xiao Mo's eyes, a series of messages appeared in front of the machine girl. Machine girl, by he performance attributes: strength, 65 armor, 62 psionics, 35 arms, 59 battery life, 43 speed increase, 57 flexible, 52 stable, 62 evaluation. This is a machine with relatively average performance and no bright spots. For its driver, the battery life of this machine is a shortcoming that cannot be ignored. Advertisement: it is not recommended to pilot this machine to fight alone. Compared with the top machine girl Xingyao, who was taken away by Song Bowen, the attributes of this machine girl are simply too different. But even so, the starting price of this machine called Baihe is 200,000 yuan. A conservative estimate is that the final transaction price should be no less than 500,000. It can be seen that machine girls are considered a luxury product in this world. Because the psychic attributes of this machine girl did not meet the requirements of the system mission, Xiao Mo had no intention of bidding. But Su Yunian on the side was different. From the moment the host announced the starting price, he jumped up and down and kept bidding, acting like a monkey in heat. Xiao Mo couldn't stand it anymore and asked aloud, "Su Xiaopeng, do you like this machine so much?" Su Yunyan's answer was beyond Xiao Mo's expectation. No. Although this machine is very good-looking, since I am now a rich second generation, I naturally need a machine with better performance to be worthy of me. Xiao Mo was ashamed. Then you still bid so happily? Aren't you afraid that it will be photographed accidentally? Unexpectedly, Su Yunyan glanced at the people around him and lowered his voice. You don't understand this. The people in this auction house are all our competitors. I am raising the price of the machine so that others can spend more of their money. In this way, when they meet the machine girl I want to buy, they will have no money to compete with me. Oh ho ho ho. Listening to Su Yunyan's devilish laughter, Xiao Mo couldn't help but give a thumbs up. I don't know if it was his imagination. I always feel that after Su Yunyan learned that he was a rich second generation, some of his ideas began to become capitalized. What an evil capitalist. Just as he was thinking about it, Su Yunyan poked Xiao Mo and said, "By the way, if you like any machine, just tell me. If the money is not enough, I can lend it to you first. Now that you're here, you can't go back empty-handed." Upon hearing these words, Xiao Mo's eyes suddenly lit up. Long live the capitalists. After all, he only has 1 million in his pocket. Given the nature of the auction house, the machines with better performance will be left last. The prices of the machines that come out in the future will only get higher and higher. The machine girl required by the system task must have a psychic attribute greater than or equal to 90. It's rare to see a robot girl with more than 90 attribute points. If other performances are pretty good, then it is a top-notch machine, and the price is definitely not low. Judging from Xiao Mo's current funds, he probably can't afford it. But if there is the help of Su Yunian, a rich second generation, this opportunity will be much greater. Xiao Mo hugged this thigh. Time passed very quickly, and the starting price of the machine girl had already reached 2 million. Advertisement far more than the funds Xiao Mo has. However, until now, no machine has been able to meet the system mission conditions. Xiao Mo was not impatient about this. After all, it's all a matter of luck. The auction house is not the only auction house in Hangzhou. If he couldn't buy a suitable machine girl here, he could try his luck at other auctions. Moreover, the Galaxy Auction House holds an auction every 10 days. If it doesn't work, come back in 10 days. Just when he was thinking this, the attributes of a royal sister-type machine girl on the field immediately caught his attention. Machine girl Daisy performance attributes. Strength 85 armor, 72 psionics, 55 armed, 69 battery life, 69 speed increase, 62 flexible, 55 stable, 75 hidden characteristics. When the driver's profession is shield fighting vanguard, all attributes can be increased by 5 points. Evaluation. This is a machine with relatively excellent performance and powerful power. In addition, other attributes are also relatively balanced, with no particular shortcomings. For new drivers, the performance of this machine is more than enough. When the hidden characteristics are activated, the combat power of this machine girl is comparable to that of the top machine girls. After reading the information about Daisy, the machine girl, Xiao Mo couldn't help but get excited. To be precise, he was excited for Su Yunian. Because Su Yunian's awaken profession is the shield warrior vanguard that can activate its hidden characteristics. Thinking of this, Xiao Mo immediately flipped through the auction manual. I found that there was no introduction related to this hidden feature. This means that this was not even discovered at the auction house. Otherwise, the starting price of this machine will definitely be much higher. Not only that, Daisy's armor and stability attributes are above 70, which is also very suitable for the combat characteristics of the shield vanguard profession. It would be an understatement to say that she was tailor-made for this career. It can be said that this is the most suitable girl for Su Yunian that Xiao Mo has seen in the auction house. Once he drives this machine, he will be hooked. However, when he was about to make a suggestion, he found that Su Yunian had already impatiently raised a sign and shouted loudly, "I'll pay 2.8 million. Moreover, Xiao Mo discovered that Su Yunian's eyes were glowing green, staring at Daisy's thunderous eyes. Seeing this scene, Xiao Mo couldn't help but raise his forehead. Have to? It seems that there is no need for me to remind him. He has already been deeply attracted by this machine girl. Chapter 6. I have to say that Daisy is really popular. In a short time, her price was raised to 4 million, and he has no intention of stopping at all. There are various voices of raising prices one after another. Daisy seemed very satisfied with this and pushed her proud C***K even higher. After all, the fiercer the competition, the more popular she is. This is also the pride of the machine girl. When the price approached 5 million, the number of people who continued to increase prices finally stopped, and the price increase is not as big as before. Each price increase will basically not exceed 100,000. It's obviously close to the final price. Su Yunyan's face turned red from holding back, and he almost gritted his teeth and asked for 5 million. This was the highest price he could offer. Any higher would exceed the upper limit of what he could pay. But the next second, someone raised the price to 5.1 million. Su Yunyan was like a deflated rubber ball. He slumped back to his seat, his eyes dull, and he said dejectedly, You, are we destined to pass each other by fate? Xiao Mo also felt a little pity about this. After all, if he misses the girl who is so suitable for him, it will be difficult to meet him again in the future. Suddenly, Xiao Mo remembered that he still had 1 million in his card. Anyway, judging from the current auction situation, even if there is a robot girl with a psychic attribute of greater than or equal to 90, it is not something I can afford. Instead of doing this, it is better to help Su Yunyan get a machine girl first. Who makes them good brothers? The girl must help him get this machine. Xiao Mo was about to speak, but Su Yunyan sighed first. Why? After all, it's because I'm not good enough to deserve such an excellent you. Xiao Mo, you don't need to persuade me. Just lend me your shoulder to cry for a while. Xiao Mo looked blankly at Su Yunyan talking to himself in front of him and put his head on his shoulder. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. What he originally wanted to say could not be said after all. Asaba, it's okay for everyone. Someone come quickly and drag this disgusting thing away. I almost vomited out the last night's meal. Complaints are complaints, but Xiao Mo still hasn't forgotten his thoughts. When the auction price was set at 5.6 million, and the host had begun to count the places, Xiao Mo decisively raised Su Yunyan's sign and shouted, 5.7 million. With this shout, Xiao Mo immediately felt the unkind look from the previous bidder. He didn't expect that no one would compete with him anymore, and just when he was about to take a photo of the machine, Tong Yao would appear. Advertisement at the same time, Su Yunyan, who was leaning on his shoulder and pretending to cry, suddenly raised his head and said in confusion, Brother, you are so rich. Could it be that you are also the second generation of hidden rich people, right? Xiao Mo just took out his bank card and patted Su Yunyan's hand, giving him a look. Su Yunyan suddenly understood. Xiao Mo planned to give himself his 1 million to bid for this machine. You are truly a good brother. So loyal. But he was not happy for long, because he also increased the price for the person just now. The price of Daisyland suddenly reached 5.8 million. In response, Xiao Mo glanced in the direction of the man with disdain, calmly raised the sign, raised the corners of his mouth, and said confidently, 5,900,000. The reason why Xiao Mo acted so confidently was not because he felt that he was a sure shot, but for two reasons. First of all, although the attributes of this robot are quite good, it has reached the upper limit of the bidding price for similar robots. If you increase the price further, you will lose money. Secondly, only by showing that you are not short of money and can bid whatever the other party asks can you overwhelm the other party in terms of momentum. As long as the other party is not the kind of landlord who is not short of money, he will be easily intimidated. After all, those landowners who are really not short of money are eyeing top machine girls with higher attributes. Not a machine girl like Daisy whose average attributes don't reach 70. To be precise, this is a gamble. Xiao Mo was betting that the other party would not dare to compete with him. And the facts prove that he was right. The man gritted his teeth for a while, but finally stopped raising his sign. The host also started counting down very wisely. 5,900,000 times. Twice 5,900,000. 5,900,000 3 times. Make a deal. Congratulations to this distinguished guest. During the countdown seconds, Su Yunyan could not suppress his nervousness, and his palms were all sweaty. It wasn't until he heard the host say the word deal that he jumped up from his seat and cheered loudly. Good brother. You actually helped me take a picture of this camera. I love you so much. Looking at the oncoming hug and Su Yunyan's pouty cherry mouth, Xiao Mo slapped his forehead and pushed him back to his seat, saying with disgust, Don't act like I'm giving you the money. Let me say it first. You have to pay me back the 900,000. Su Yunyan nodded his head like a chicken pecking at rice and said happily, Don't worry, I'll ask my dad to send the money when I get back. After the excitement passed, Su Yunyan suddenly realized something and scratched his head in embarrassment. advertisement that I clearly promised that if you have a crush on a local girl, I will help you. In the end, I asked you to spend money to buy the machine girl for me, which is quite embarrassing. Xiao Mo waved his hand, indicating that it didn't matter. It's okay, there's no machine girl I like anyway. Moreover, future machines will only become more and more expensive, and I simply can't afford it with this little money. Halfway through his words, Xiao Mo suddenly discovered that the machine girl named Daisy had come to Su Yunyan's side. Su Yunyan, who was originally grateful to him, had already regarded himself as heir and turned around to talk and laugh with Daisy. Xiao Mo immediately clenched his fists and cursed, "Pooh! You forget your friends when you see S*X, you piece of shit." The next auction was a bit boring for Xiao Mo. Although he would still glance at the machine girl's attributes, after paying Daisy's fee, he only had 100,000 left in his card. For this small amount of money, let alone the girl, you can't even take a picture of the girl's exhaust. However, as the auction went on for a longer time, Xiao Mo became more aware of two problems. First, the attributes of the rewarded top-level machine girl Xingyao are really good. There is basically no machine girl that can surpass her in terms of attributes at the auction. Secondly, even among those robot girls with incredible performance, none of them has more than 90 psychic attribute points. In this regard, Xiao Mo couldn't help but wonder whether he could still complete the task of this system. Soon, all the machines in the brochure were auctioned off. Coupled with the situation where there are too many monks and too few people, there is a scene in the auction house where some people are happy and some are sad. Those who didn't take photos of the girl had a sad face. Needless to say, those who have photographed their camgirls have already been chatting and laughing with their camgirls, and are ready to leave the auction house to sublimate their relationship. For example, Su Yunyan. Just when Xiao Mo was about to pat his butt and get up to leave the auction house, the host spoke again. All the auction machines this time have been auctioned. But please don't be impatient, especially those of you who haven't photographed your camera yet. Next, there will be a reshooting session with a special price machine girl. Hearing that there were still machine girls, Xiao Mo stopped and looked curiously at the row of machine girls walking up to the stage. There were also people who were familiar with the auction process and waved their hands without interest. Gone. They are all garbage machines left over by others. Either their performance is too poor, or they have major flaws. So what if there is a special offer? No one wants it. There is nothing interesting to see. But Xiao Mo didn't think so. Looking at the silver-haired machine girl with the number 96 on her chest and her head lowered, he smiled. The corner of the mouth is simply harder to press than the AK. He spoke calmly. The machine girl I've been waiting for is here. Chapter 7. The unsold robots from the previous auction will be put up for auction together after the subsequent auction ends. In order to improve the auction success rate of these robot girls, the organizer will adjust the starting price with the consent of the robot girl. There are generally only 4 such opportunities. But there is one exception among them, Tong Yao. This is the 5th time she has returned to the auction block in this way. It's also the last time. She was originally supposed to be sent to reform 10 days ago, but because the person in charge asked for leave, she got this 5th chance. However, after experiencing 5 failed auctions before, she no longer had any hope. After the auction was over, she was going to ask the person in charge to rebuild it. Little did she know that there was someone staring at her with burning eyes at this moment. Machine Girl, Tong Yao Performance Attributes. Strength, 87 Armor, 0.1 Psionics, 91 Armed. 65 Battery Life, 70 Speed Increase. 85 Flexible, 92 Stable, 72 Evaluation. This is a machine with explosive performance, but it has a major flaw that is absolutely intolerable, and its armor is almost 0. No one who pilots this machine can escape the monster's attack. If you don't want to spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair or a coffin, please stay away from this machine. The girl's evaluation of this machine is very fair. If we ignore the attribute of armor, the average attribute of this machine girl is above 70 points, and there are 2 attribute values over 90 points. It is simply more powerful than Xingyao, a top-notch machine girl. But it is precisely because of her almost 0 armor attribute that such a machine girl with explosive performance has been repeatedly rejected. No pilot would risk death by driving this machine into battle. However, this is not the point for Xiao Mo. The point is, this machine girl allows him to complete system tasks and awaken the psychic warrior profession. If you have to fight, the prerequisite for feeling pain is to be hit by the attack. Xiao Mo has 2 generations of kung fu skills. Combined with the excellent speed and flexibility of this machine girl, Xiao Mo is very confident in avoiding attacks. Even worse, after completing the system task, he can still get 5 MP points. He can use all these MP points to improve the armor attribute of this machine girl. Advertisement. Xiao Mo had a hunch that as long as the system carried out the next mission, he would definitely be able to obtain more MP points. Use MP points to smash it, and any machine girl with good attributes can be smashed into a top machine girl. Not to mention this machine girl with only one armor flaw and other attributes exploded. This machine may be trash in the eyes of others, but in Xiao Mo's eyes, it is a treasure. Moreover, her price is only 10,000. Thinking of this, Xiao Mo's eyes lit up. However, when many people around saw this machine, they made all kinds of sarcastic remarks. What the hell? Why is this killing machine still there? Aren't you going to be sent to be transformed into a functional machine girl after 5 failed bids? Is this the 6th time for her? Not to mention the 6th time. With her almost 0 armor, even if she shoots it dozens or hundreds of times, the ending will be the same. It's over. It's over. It's better to get these garbage machine girls to be remodeled as soon as possible. No matter how many times I come here, no one will want it. Their voices were not loud, but these hurtful words were like sharp blades, piercing the hearts of these machine girls. Especially the machine girl Tong Yao. She bit her lips tightly and tears could not help but roll in her eyes. Why? She had obviously given up, but when she heard those words, her chest still hurt so much. She really wanted to get out of here quickly and disappear from this annoying spotlight. Host, I want machine number 96. At this moment, a man's loud voice suddenly sounded in the field. This voice was sonorous and powerful, echoing in the venue. For a moment, everyone turned their strange gazes to the source of the sound. Xiao Mo, what's going on with this guy? Is he dying? You actually dare to ask for this kind of murderous mecha? That is, what can I buy with this money? I have to buy myself an iron coffin. Everyone is there these days. I really feel like I can't die fast enough. Su Yunian, who originally planned to leave the auction venue, returned with Daisy after hearing Xiao Mo shout. He instinctively wanted to hold Xiao Mo's hand holding the sign, but he failed. No, bro, are you crazy? Number 96 is a machine girl with major flaws. You see, the introduction clearly states that the armor attribute is almost 0. If you pilot her, you will be dead if you are attacked even once. However, Xiao Mo remained unmoved and continued to stick to his decision. Advertisement, perhaps this machine girl has major flaws to you. But to me, she is a piece of shining gold. If you don't believe it, why don't we go to the practice field behind and give it a try? Seeing Xiao Mo's unwillingness to give up, Su Yunian didn't say anything else. Anyway, the price of this machine is only 10,000, which is not expensive. The worst-case scenario is that after you buy it, you just throw it away at home and keep it unused. There is no requirement that a driver can only contract one machine. There are many drivers who contract several machines at the same time. After Xiao Mo realizes the problem himself, he will buy another one. Once in 10,000. 10,000 times. 10,000 times. Make a deal. Congratulations to this distinguished guest for taking the photo of number 96, Tong Yao. Seeing that no one was bidding except Xiao Mo, the host readily sold Tong Yao, the daughter of 96 machine, to Xiao Mo for 10,000. Machine girl number 96 did not recover from the host's words at all, until the machine girl next to her pushed her. Tong Yao, congratulations, you finally got the shot. Now you no longer have to worry about being transformed into a functional machine girl. Oh? Tong Yao, who was in a dazed state, didn't even know how she walked in front of Xiao Mo. It wasn't until a pair of big hands stretched out in front of her that she was convinced that she had really been photographed. Hello, Tong Yao. My name is Xiao Mo. Please take care of me. Please. Please take care of me. Tong Yao looked at the handsome man who was a head taller than her and held his hand dully. It was very strong and warm. Tong Yao couldn't believe that from now on, she was also a robot girl with a master. What she didn't know was that the joy in Xiao Mo's heart was no less than hers. He was far away and didn't pay attention before, but now Tong Yao was standing in front of him, and he could clearly see Tong Yao's appearance. Those snow-white, flushed cheeks, those eyes shining like obsidian. The protective desire in Xiao Mo's heart exploded. Oh my god, I must have won the special prize. How can there be such a cute machine girl? But before he could be happy for long, Su Yunian's urgent voice interrupted him. Let's go to the driving range behind and drive your machine, because many drivers will be eager to experience the driving experience after taking photos of their favorite drone. Therefore, the auction house is also equipped with some such training venues. As soon as she heard that Xiao Mo was going to drive her now, Tong Yao's heart suddenly tightened. Her mouth opened slightly, and she said coquettishly, Master, you can't pilot me. Chapter 8. Master, I am a defective machine girl. If you drive me, I'll kill you. Tong Yao buried her head deeply like an ostrich, not daring to look directly at Xiao Mo. She was filled with fear, afraid that Xiao Mo would be angry, and even more afraid that Xiao Mo would abandon her. However, to her surprise, she didn't hear a single word of rebuke from the other party. On the contrary, Xiao Mo's voice is magnetic and gentle. Just like the warm candlelight in winter, it dispelled the haze of her world. Tong Yao, raise your head, look into my eyes and listen to me. Fighting is not just a matter for the machine girl. The driver is also a crucial part. Although your armor attribute is not high, you are very flexible. As long as you don't get hit by attacks, what does it matter if your armor is lower? And it is also the driver's responsibility to protect the machine girl from being attacked. Please trust me, I will protect you. So, give me a chance to prove myself, okay? Xiao Mo took a deep breath and put his hand on Tong Yao's shoulders that were shaking due to nervousness to calm her down. This little shoulder is a little cold. Tong Yao couldn't believe her ears. What did she just hear? Her master actually said he would protect her. Since the machine girl was produced, it has been designed to protect the driver from being harmed by monsters. And her master actually told her that he would protect her? This is the most heartwarming sentence Tong Yao has ever heard since she was born. She had already lost confidence in herself and was ready to reinvent herself. But she didn't expect that there would be someone in this world who treated her so tenderly, and this person was also her master. At this moment, she felt warm in her chest, and a strange, indescribable emotion was stirring. Tong Yao's eyes sparkled with tears, and she looked at Xiao Mo firmly. Master, let's sign a contract. Well, good. Xiao Mo didn't hesitate and agreed immediately. Then, he saw Tong Yao closing her eyes and raising her head. A pattern resembling a six-pointed star appeared on her forehead. Advertisement as this pattern appeared. Tong Yao's entire body was shrouded in light, and her long silver hair fluttered in the wind, leaving Xiao Mo stunned once again. This is the spiritual contract formation. There are two ways to sign a contract between the machine girl and the driver. One is an oral contract, which is the simplest and least binding method. As long as both parties agree, the contract can be terminated at any time. Because there is also a tacit understanding between the machine girl and the driver. If there is no tacit understanding between some robot girls and pilots after working together for a long time, they will usually terminate the contract and look for other suitable contractors. This is very common in this world. Therefore, there are many cases of buying and selling secondhand mobile phones. The way Tong Yao wants to make a contract with him at this moment is a spiritual contract. Once this contract is reached, it means that Tong Yao can only let Xiao Missouri drive before returning to the furnace. But Xiao Mo can still make contracts with other machine girls. In other words, this is a contract method that is more binding on Jinyang. It also shows that the machine girl has full trust in the driver. You are such an innocent girl. Are you going to sign a soul contract with me? If you meet a duplicitous bad guy, wouldn't you be bullied to the point of losing your underwear? Fortunately, you met a gentleman like me. Okay, since you trust me so much, let me protect you for the rest of your life. Xiao Mo thought so, and immediately bit his index finger and dropped a drop of blood on the pattern on Tong Yao's forehead. The next second, the blood was absorbed by the six-pointed star pattern, and Xiao Mo felt an inexplicable connection between himself and the girl in front of him. It feels like there is a place in my heart that belongs exclusively to Tong Yao. Very strange. At the same time, the system's prompt tone also sounded in his mind. Bite. Congratulations to the host for completing the contract mission. Awaken the only hidden profession, Psychic Warrior, and be rewarded with 5 MP points. Due to the soul contract between the host and the machine girl, an additional reward will be given. Skill. Psychic Flash. Introduction to skills and abilities. The driving mecha is automatically activated after unfolding into a mecha. In response to attacks that the user cannot dodge, a point of psionic energy can be consumed to perform force directional dodge. The dodge range does not exceed 100 meters. For attacks with a range exceeding 100 meters, meter-wide range attacks are invalid. If you use Psychic Flash to dodge attacks consecutively in the same battle, the consumed psychic energy will be multiplied by 2 based on the last time. If the psychic energy is insufficient, it will automatically become invalid. A series of notification sounds made Xiao Mo excited. At the same time, he also felt a powerful force pouring into his body. He is awake. Advertisement. Xiao Mo clearly felt that his physical fitness was several times stronger than before. Is this the power that professionals have? What excites him even more is the skill of psychic flashing. It can be said that this is definitely an incredible life-saving skill. Especially combined with Tong Yao's current armor attribute being almost zero, it makes up for her shortcomings to a great extent. With her 91-point psychic attribute, she can use at least 6 psychic flashes in a battle. What a magical skill. Su Yunian was also surprised. When Xiao Mo began to awaken his profession, he did not choose to hide his aura, which allowed Su Yunian to clearly see the huge black vortex appearing behind him. This vortex exudes a mysterious and powerful atmosphere, as if it is connected to another unknown world. In the center of the vortex, there is a pair of blue eyes, which shine with an icy light, making people shudder. In addition, the coercion emanating from the vortex is even more heart-stopping, as if there is an extremely terrifying existence hidden in it. As time went by, several strands of high-density energy emerged from the vortex, reaching out to Xiao Mo like tentacles and connecting with him. This energy continuously poured into Xiao Mo's body and merged with his own power. In this process, the collision of energies produced a blue arc. They jump in the air, dazzling like lightning. Seeing this scene, Su Yunian's eyes widened with disbelief on his face. Under normal circumstances, when professionals show off their abilities, a shadow corresponding to their profession will appear behind them. But why is there a black vortex that appears behind Xiao Mo? Or is the real shadow a guy with blue eyes hiding in the black vortex? Su Yunian couldn't figure it out and stopped worrying about this problem. He laughed and said, "Xiao Mo, are you awake?" "Ha ha ha. Let me just say, how could someone be unable to awaken their profession? It must be that you are developing slowly." Xiao Mo's face was full of black lines. He is developing very well and is not slow. But he was too lazy to argue with Su Yunian, and instead carefully checked the skill introduction of the psionic warrior profession. But when he opened the professional skills page, he was stunned. Strange, why is my professional skills page different from what the teacher said in class? Chapter 9. Xiao Mo remembered that the teacher had said in class that by opening the professional skill page, he would be able to see the skills possessed by his awakened profession. But what Xiao Mo saw was something similar to a tab. On the tab of the first page, the words Tong Yao were written. The subsequent tabs are marked with question marks. Xiao Mo clicked on the children's songs tab with a hint of doubt, and then he saw the skill page the teacher mentioned, which listed several skills. It's strange, why is there a Mecha girl option in front of my skill page? I don't remember the teacher mentioning this in class. Xiao Mo thought that he had not secretly slept or been distracted during class, so there was no reason for him to miss such crucial information. Moreover, the skills of professionals are based on their professions and have nothing to do with the Mecha girl. Why are the words Tong Yao written on his skill page? It seems that I need to look up relevant literature after I return. Put aside the things you don't understand and take a look at what skills you currently have. Skill 1. Frost Cross. Swinging the spear in a cross shape. The spear not only causes physical damage to enemies in the fan-shaped area in front, but also causes ice damage, slowing them down, and has a 30% chance of freezing the enemies. Cooldown time, 10 seconds. Skill 2. Overlord Slash. Hold the end of the spear with both hands and chop down with great force, causing a large amount of physical damage to the enemy in front of you and forming a freezing effect that lasts for 10 seconds. Cooldown time, 15 seconds. Skill 3. Comet. Falls from the sky, leaps into the air, and plummets to the ground while slamming the ground with the spear, causing area physical damage and a knockback effect, with a 15% chance of freezing the enemy. Cooldown time, 12 seconds. Passive skill. Ice Explosion. When a skill with a freezing probability hits an enemy in a frozen state and initiates the freezing effect, the damage caused is doubled and the freezing time is extended. Psychic Warrior. Exclusive skill. Psychic Burst. When casting a skill, consuming a little more spiritual energy can cause twice as much damage and double the probability of causing special effects. The upper limit of psychic energy consumption is 10 points. After looking at the current skills, Xiao Mo has already reached a preliminary conclusion. This is a profession that combines output and ice control. The weapon used was a spear. In addition to physical damage, the 3 active skills also have ice damage. But if you want to output the maximum damage, you need to rely on the passive skill Ice Explosion. Isn't this what the game calls stacking ice? Xiao Mo remembered that in many online games in his previous life, the explosive output of ice attribute professions relied on stacking ice. He is familiar with this. But what surprised him most was the Psychic Warrior's exclusive skill, Psychic Burst. Advertisement. The teacher mentioned in class that no matter what skill, the amount of spiritual energy consumed is fixed. The initial professional skills consume the least amount of spiritual energy, usually 1 point. But under the effect of psychic burst, he can double the damage by doubling the consumption of psychic energy. In this way, under the premise of abundant spiritual energy, the upper limit of the damage he can cause will be several times, or even 10 times higher than usual. If the ice explosion effect is taken into account, it can be doubled. A complete violent output. The profession of psychic warrior is indeed perverted, but at the same time, the demand for psychic attributes is also not low. No wonder the system has such high requirements for the psychic attributes of its contracted mecha girl. It seems that in addition to using MP points to improve armor attributes, we also need to spend some on psychic attributes. Xiao Mo immediately came up with a plan. But in addition to this, he also had one more thing to do, which was to help his girl build confidence. Xiao Mo wanted to let Tong Yao know how excellent her attributes were. What others consider to be fatal flaws can actually be made up for by yourself. Su Xiaoping. I'm ready. Open the mecha. Seeing that his good brother questioned the girl who wanted to drive the robot named Tong Yao, Su Yunian had no choice. Although he might accidentally hurt Xiao Mo during the battle, it was better than being hurt by the monster. You know, if the driver loses consciousness, the mecha girl will also cancel the deployment mode and change from a mecha back to a human form. Without the protection of the mecha, the driver and the mecha are doomed. I have to let Xiao Mo know the seriousness of the problem. With this thought in mind, Su Yunian turned around and stretched out his hand to Daisy. Let's go. Daisy nodded gently, then slowly stretched out her white and tender little hand, and intertwined her fingers tightly with Su Yunian's generous and warm palm. The moment the two hands touched, a dazzling yellow light suddenly bloomed in the palms of their clasped hands. This ray of light is like the brightest star in the night sky, exuding an intense brilliance that is difficult to look directly at. In an instant, the light spread rapidly, like a thin light curtain, completely covering the two of them in the blink of an eye, forming a huge and bright ball of light. Immediately afterwards, a rapid and orderly click-click-click sound of mechanical operation was heard. Along with this burst of sound, the ball of light wrapped in light rose upward at an astonishing speed. In just a moment, it stood as high as 2 or 3 stories high. When the light gradually dissipated, an orange mecha full of futuristic technology suddenly appeared in front of everyone. This mecha has smooth lines and a cool shape, with a cold metallic luster shining all over its body. The wrist of his right hand is equipped with a hexagonal shield. The surface of the shield is engraved with exquisite patterns and complex runes. It is obvious that this is the weapon of the Shield Warrior Pioneer. The weapons of each mecha when deployed into a mecha are determined based on the driver's profession. However, years of research have found that the same machine girl's adaptability to different professions and weapons is not the same. For example, the machine girl in front of me, judging from its hidden characteristics, should be highly adaptable to the profession of shield fighting vanguard. Advertisement. This was Xiao Mo's first time watching a mecha at such a close range. It feels more shocking than what I saw in textbooks and videos, especially seeing the process of the mecha unfolding into a mecha with my own eyes. It's such a wonderful feeling that you probably can't get used to it in a short time. At this time, the attributes of the Daisy that Xiao Mo saw in his eyes had also changed. Machine Girl Daisy Performance Attributes: Strength 90, plus 5, Armor 77, plus 5, Psionics 60, plus 5, Arms 74, plus 5, Battery Life 74, plus 5, Speed Increase 67, plus 5, Flexible 60, plus 5, Stable 80, plus 5. Because of the hidden characteristics, Daisy's overall attributes are a full 40 points higher than before. It was only 15 points lower than the top machine girl Xingyao he had ever seen. Under this kind of radical change, Daisy is now considered to be a pretty good machine girl. Su Yunian may not have noticed it, but Daisy was very surprised at her current state. Master, I feel that my career compatibility with you is very high, and I am terrifyingly strong now. As she spoke, Daisy waved the shield in her hand, making bursts of wind. However, seeing Daisy's excitement at the moment, Su Yunian's heart tightened, and he said repeatedly, Daisy, you should still remember what I just said, right? Of course I remember. This competition is to make your good brother realize the shortcomings of his machine girl. You have to start softly. Since the master is worried, I will remove the shield. With a clang sound, the removed shield fell to the ground, making a muffled sound. Looking at Daisy and Su Yunian who were getting ready, Xiao Mo turned back to Tong Yao and said, let's expand it too. Tong Yao looked up at Xiao Mo's eyes that were shining with confidence and nodded firmly. Okay, master. Chapter 10. As if she was a little shy, Tong Yao's cheeks turned slightly red and she gently grabbed Xiao Mo's hand. A soft touch came from the palm of his hand, and Xiao Mo sighed. Is this what a machine girl feels like? Soft and so comfortable. The next second, Tong Yao's weak voice sounded. Mom, master, please focus. Oh, okay. Xiao Mo immediately recovered his mind. After all, if you think about it randomly, the machine girl cannot unfold into a mecha. But as his attention was fully concentrated, a strange feeling came from the palm of his hand. Xiao Mo only felt a silvery white light appear in front of his eyes, and then his eyesight lifted up much higher. After the light dissipated, Xiao Mo appeared in the mecha cockpit. Although he had seen what the cockpit looked like in textbooks, when he sat in the cockpit himself, the feeling was completely different. Tong Yao's back was facing Xiao Mo, and her hands and legs were connected to the mecha in a horizontal position. The mecha joystick extends from Tong Yao's waist. Moreover, he and Tong Yao have also formed a wonderful spiritual connection. As long as they hold the joystick, they can give instructions to Tong Yao and let the mecha complete the corresponding actions. It's just that the posture of the two of them is really embarrassing. Ma, master, how do you feel? Do you need to adjust the driver's seat? Tong Yao turned her head. Her cheeks turned red and asked. Xiao Mo scratched his ears. It feels good. No need to adjust. In my heart. Who invented this driving posture? It's so shameful. If Xiao Mo could see Tong Yao in the form of a mecha, he would be deeply shocked and attracted by her appearance in an instant. It was a mecha that shone with silver white light and had a streamlined metallic texture. Those two LED lights, like smart eyes, exude a cold and bright light, as if they can understand everything in the world. Various parts of the mecha's body are constantly emitting dreamlike rays of light. These streams of light flow slowly along carefully designed lines, like the trajectory of a galaxy in a mysterious universe, which is dazzling. Every mecha armament has been exquisitely crafted. Whether it is the extremely sturdy body or the various device modules, they all show the charm and power of high technology. What is particularly eye-catching is the dark golden spear held tightly in Tong Yao's hand. The gun body is slender and straight, shining with a dark and deep golden light, as if it contains endless energy. The sharp spear tip radiates cold light, making people feel chilled just by looking at it. When Tong Yao held this spear, she exuded an unparalleled aura of majesty, like a god of war descending from the sky, possessing a terrifying and powerful deterrent. Even Daisy, who was a mecha, was stunned. What a cool mecha! Xiao Mo, are you ready? We are coming. Su Yunyan's voice came, and Xiao Mo and Tong Yao turned their attention to the front at the same time. Through the 360-degree circular display, he can clearly see the outside of the mecha. Advertisement at this time. Daisy had already made a posture ready to attack. Bring it on. Xiao Mo held the mecha's joystick and immediately adjusted it. Although they usually drive in the simulator countless times during practical classes, but when I actually sit in the cockpit and control the machine, the feeling is different. Then be careful, I'm coming. As soon as he finished speaking, Daisy's mecha engine erupted into violent roars and crashed towards him. Master, be careful. Tong Yao immediately reminded him, although the opponent removed his shield in order to reduce the damage. But for her, whose armor was almost zero, if such pain were transmitted to the driver, it would be enough to make him faint from the pain. However, what surprised her was that Xiao Mo had already reacted. The mecha made a sliding movement under his control. Looking at Xiao Mo, who was serious and focused on controlling the mecha, Tong Yao also took a deep breath and focused all her attention on the battle. She wants to trust her driver. At the same time, Xiao Mo's heart was filled with shock. Normally when you use a simulator to drive a mecha, there will also be power feedback. But it feels completely different from the feeling of driving Tong Yao at this moment. It is no exaggeration to say that it is like driving a performance monster. Seeing the scenery flying past the display screen under his control, Xiao Mo also became excited. So fast. She is worthy of being a machine girl with 85 points of speed increasing attributes and 92 points of flexibility attributes. Regardless of the sudden burst of speed or flexible changes of direction, it is smoother than the simulator. With attributes like this, it is absolutely too late for a newcomer to fly a machine girl for the first time. But Xiao Mo usually focused on training his kung fu, and his physical fitness increased exponentially after awakening as a psychic warrior. If you want to keep up with Tong Yao's performance, it is more than enough. Under his control, Tong Yao in the mecha form was like a silver white lightning, crossing an L-shaped trajectory and arriving behind Daisy in the blink of an eye. What a speed! Su Yunyan, who was driving Daisy, felt his eyes flicker, and the mecha driven by Xiao Mo was lost in his field of vision. A sense of crisis suddenly arose in his heart, making his hair stand on end. This reminded him of the time when he and Xiao Mo teamed up to take a confrontation course before he awakened as a professional. At that time, Xiao Mo relied on his powerful explosive power and flexibility to fool him around. Unexpectedly, after Xiao Mo awakened his profession, he could still crush him. Before he could think too much, a sharp gust of wind hit him from behind. Immediately afterwards, he felt the mecha being knocked out uncontrollably. In order to let Tong Yao clearly understand her own strength and build up her confidence, Xiao Mo didn't choose to be merciful and swung his gun across the opponent's back and hit him in the back. The powerful force directly swept away Daisy in the mecha state for dozens of meters. Advertisement: because of the protection of the armor, Xiao Mo didn't have to worry about hurting Su Yunian with this blow. To be on the safe side, he still didn't use any skills. Simply rely on your own various moves to practice kung fu. But with the blessing of Tong Yao's powerful strength attribute, each blow still knocks away a little of the opponent's armor value. Xiao Mo, I was careless just now, come again. Su Yunian controlled the mecha and slammed the ground, turning around and kicking with the help of the reaction force. Speaking of which, this was the move that Xiao Mo taught him, but unfortunately he was still unable to achieve the goal of being better than his master. As soon as he made his move, Xiao Mo sent him flying with an upward attack. In this way, Su Yunian was beaten by Xiao Mo's combo and was unable to fight back. Finally, he managed to capture Xiao Mo's figure at the moment he was attacked. But just as he was about to make a move, his silver-white mecha would disappear from his sight again. Like a ghost, elusive. This made Su Yunian recall the fear of being dominated by Xiao Mo in the confrontation class. Stop, stop, stop. Brother, stop, stop fighting. A few minutes later, Xiao Mo finally stopped when he saw Su Yunian, who was almost calling him dad on the ground. The two robot girls both released the expansion mode. It can be seen that Tong Yao looked at Xiao Mo with eyes filled with admiration. Under Xiao Mo's control, she was not hit by the opponent at all. As the master said, as long as you don't get hit by attacks, it doesn't matter if the armor is lower. Xiao Mo also took advantage of the situation and touched Tong Yao's head. How about it? I said I would protect you. I did it, right? Tong Yao's eyes were filled with stars and she nodded repeatedly. Yeah, my master is so awesome. So do you have confidence in yourself now?
Have.
Under Xiao Mo's comfort, Tong Yao behaved like a kitten. Listening to the conversation between the two, Su Yunian almost cried. You two are confident now, but my girl is about to have EMO. I saw Daisy lowering her head, staring pitifully at the toes of her shoes with her big, tearful eyes, crying. You, master, I am a useless machine girl. I'm so useless, I don't deserve to be your wife. Master, you'd better send me to be remade. Xiao Mo was shocked. This breaks the defense? Chapter 11. Seeing his wife crying so hard that Su Yunian felt heartbroken. I bought Daisy for 5.9 million yuan, so how could I send it to be remade? That? Daisy, actually this is not your fault. Not only the mecha, the driver's skills and abilities are also an important part of the mecha's comprehensive combat power. As your driver, I also have half the responsibility. As soon as these words came out, Daisy immediately raised her head and looked at Su Yunian with tears in her eyes. Master, do you mean that the reason why we lost so miserably is because your skills are so bad? Su Yunian's face was covered with black lines, and he was suddenly speechless. Compared with Xiao Mo, his skills are definitely far behind. But in school, it is still at the upper middle level. It is absolutely impossible to say that it is bad. But in order to make his girlfriend less sad, he had no choice but to admit that it was his lack of skills. At the same time, Su Yunian kept winking at Xiao Mo, asking him, the culprit, to come over and clean up the mess. Xiao Mo was helpless. He didn't expect that Daisy, a royal sister-type robot, was so glass-hearted that she would break through the defense after losing a battle. Thinking about it again, it's understandable. After all, which machine girl doesn't want to perform well in front of her master and prove her strength? It's a pity that she met herself, the provincial champion with top scores in all subjects, and Tong Yao, a performance monster. But who makes Su Yunian his brother? Her sister-in-law has broken her guard. As a brother, you have to help comfort her, right? Daisy, don't be sad. Didn't you just remove your shields just to let the water go? Without the shield, your combat power will be greatly reduced. If you go all out, Tong Yao and I will definitely not be able to win so easily. After hearing this, Daisy thought it made sense and stopped crying. Yes, in the battle just now, I took off the shield, and the master didn't use any professional skills. It can be said to be a waste of time. If we go all out, we will never lose. Thinking of this, Daisy's confidence came back. She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, put her hands on her hips, and assumed an invincible posture. At some point, Tong Yao also came forward. Perhaps it was because of Jin Yang's competitive spirit that she refused to admit that she and the master would not be able to defeat them if they teamed up. So he said quickly, "Actually, in the battle just now, my master didn't use any professional skills. Woo-woo." Before the last word was uttered, Tong Yao's mouth was tightly covered by Xiao Mo. It took a lot of effort to coax Daisy, but what if Tong Yao breaks her guard again with just one word and makes her unable to coax her back? Let's play another round and lose to Su Yunian and Daisy on purpose? Who will coax Tong Yao then? Fortunately, Su Yunian's phone suddenly rang at this time. Amidst the noisy ringtone, Daisy didn't hear Tong Yao's words clearly. Su Yunian answered the phone and said there was an emergency at home, so he hurriedly took Daisy away. Advertisement Xiao Mo also breathed a sigh of relief. After experiencing this incident, Xiao Mo also realized something. Don't make your girlfriend angry, otherwise, she may be more difficult to coax than your girlfriend. Secretly write it down in a notebook. Tong Yao shook her little head and came forward. Master, what are you writing? Xiao Mo, upright arrow W upright arrow, nothing. Let's go home too. Good. By this time, it was getting dark. The sky is like a curtain filled with shining stars. The moonlight fell on the ground like a waterfall. The two of them walked quietly on the road under the moonlight. The night is so beautiful today. Xiao Mo was the first to break the silence. Tong Yao, who was following behind, also looked up at the sky. It was indeed beautiful, but why didn't she notice it before? Is it because now I have a master by my side to appreciate it together? Thinking of this, Tong Yao couldn't help but move closer. Unconsciously, I reached out and grasped the corner of the clothes of the man in front of me with trembling hands. Very light, so light that it is almost imperceptible, but the sensitive Xiao Mo still felt it. He held the little hand that was trembling a little due to nervousness. A hint of coolness passed through the palm of my hand. Why are your hands so cold? Is it because it's too cold? By the way, the nights in the suburbs are a bit cool. Let's go home quickly, it's warm at home. As he spoke, Xiao Mo put the hand that he was holding with Tong Yao into his coat pocket. But he didn't notice that the girl's face behind him had already turned as red as a ripe apple. Tong Yao only felt her breathing become a little rapid. The chest area felt like it was burning and was a little hot. Before she knew it, white smoke began to rise from above her head. Is it cold? She actually didn't feel it at all. Advertisement, but she didn't intend to take her hand out of Xiao Mo's pocket. Because of this, she will feel at ease. Although she was a little confused, she didn't hate this feeling. I should say, I like it a little bit. If only it could stay like this forever. When this thought popped into her mind, Tong Yao herself was shocked. Because the primary mission of these mecha girls is to go to the battlefield and kill monsters. This is a belief engraved in the core. She didn't know whether it was normal for another belief of equal importance to emerge at this time. But soon, she realized another problem. Although Xiao Mo had just demonstrated extremely strong controllability in the battle with Daisy and Su Yunian, he was able to flexibly dodge attacks. But there is only one opponent after all. When fighting monsters, they won't attack you one by one. You often have to face the situation of fighting several monsters at the same time. Moreover, some monsters have large-scale attacks. At that time, can I still lead the master to avoid the intensive attacks? Thinking of this, Tong Yao bit her lip. She made up her mind silently. We must find a way to improve the armor attribute. I will also fulfill my duties as a mecha girl and do my best to protect the master. Xiao Mo and his family live in a 90-square-meter apartment in an old residential area. As soon as I opened the door, I smelled the tempting aroma of food. Dad, I'm back. Xiao Mo put on slippers and pulled the somewhat timid Tong Yao inside. My provincial champion son is back. What a coincidence. Dinner has just been cooked. Come sit down and eat. Father Xiao Shunhe prepared a table full of food. When Xiao Mo opened the door, the last dish of radish and pork ribs soup was just served on the table. At the same time, he turned his gaze to Tong Yao, who was standing next to Xiao Mo, and said proudly, "This is the top-notch machine girl that the school gave you as a reward, right? Come, sit down and eat together." After hearing what Zhao's father said, Tong Yao, who originally wanted to greet him with a smile, was stunned. Her master is actually the provincial champion? No wonder the driving skills are so good. But I am not the robot girl that the school awarded to Xiao Mo, nor am I a top robot girl. It was a defective phone that had been sold off 5 times at auction, and no one wanted it. Chapter 12. Xiao Shenhe didn't know what Tong Yao was thinking. Seeing her silence, he thought she was dissatisfied with the meal he prepared. He seemed to think of something and slapped his head suddenly. Oh, look at my brain. How could I forget such an important thing? Our human food cannot provide enough energy for robot girls, and robot girls need to supplement their energy by ingesting nutrient solutions. I don't know what flavor of nutrient solution you like, so I specially brought back a copy of every flavor of nutrient solution in the store. I'll get it for you right now. With that said, Xiao Shenhe immediately turned around and entered the kitchen and took out several bottles of nutrient solution in a hurry. At this time, Tong Yao realized that she had misunderstood the other party again. He bit his lip and explained, Uncle Xiao, you misunderstood. In fact, I am not a top-notch person. Halfway through her words, Tong Yao's mouth was covered by Xiao Mo again. Dad, actually Tong Yao wants to say that the food you cook is very delicious and she wants to try it. Xiao Mo didn't want to cause trouble to his family because of what happened to him at school, especially my father, who is already busy enough with his usual work. And I am an adult now, so I should solve my own affairs by myself. So, when Tong Yao was about to spill the beans, he covered her mouth and used a lame excuse to fool her. At the same time, he whispered in Tong Yao's ear, Don't tell me that I bought you from the auction house. I'll tell you the reason after dinner. Seeing Tong Yao nodding towards him with a pair of innocent eyes, Xiao Mo took his hand away with confidence. In Xiao Shenhe's eyes, this move was understood as an intimate move between the two. Then, he smiled even more happily. Because under normal circumstances, top-notch machine girls have a certain kind of pride. This kind of pride makes them seem not so easy to talk to. He thought Tong Yao was like this too. Now it seems that she and her son are getting along quite well. This way, he felt relieved. Xiao Shenhe was just about to invite the two of them to sit down and eat when he suddenly saw the clock hanging on the wall and hurriedly took off his apron and prepared to go out. Dad has something to do tonight, so you guys need to eat first. Before going out, he shouted towards the lighted room in the house. Xiaoya, come out to eat quickly. Xiao Mo was a little confused. Dad, what's the emergency? Can't you finish your meal first and then go? Xiao Shenhe put on his shoes and opened the door. You don't have to worry about that. Advertisement, by the way. I'll be back later. No need to wait for me. After saying that, he closed the door with a bang. Xiao Mo wanted to ask a few more questions when he heard a girl's voice coming from inside the room. Brother, of course Dad went out so late for you. The cost of raising a machine girl is not cheap, especially in the early stage, before obtaining the qualification of a waistbreaker. I saw a girl wearing a school uniform and a ponytail walking out of the room. The girl has a pretty and cute face, and her eyebrows are somewhat similar to Xiao Mo's. It was his sister, Xiaoya. Xiaoya calmly sat down at the dining table, picked up a bottle of strawberry-flavored nutritional solution, looked at it, and said, High-energy nutrient solution for machine girls. It costs more than 500 yuan a bottle. This kind of nutrient solution is a daily consumable for machine girls. Given our family's conditions, if Dad doesn't work a few more jobs, how can he possibly be able to support a top-notch machine like yours, brother? Xiao Mo actually felt a trace of blame for himself in his sister's words. But she was right. Their mother died early, and they all relied on Father Xiao to raise the brothers and sisters through hard work alone. This is not easy for a man at the bottom of society. Now I choose to work more jobs to make money in order to be able to support my mother-in-law. From Xiao Mo's point of view, he himself felt very sorry. It turned out to be for me. I'm an adult now, and I can figure out my own way to raise money for my mother-in-law. I'm going to call Dad back now. Xiao Mo was about to turn around and chase him out, but Xiaoya called him to stop him. Don't be pretentious. Now you know you feel sorry for Dad. Then why did you continue to lie to him just now? And you said she was the top machine girl awarded to you by the school? But how did I hear that the school has cancelled your award? Xiaoya pointed at Tong Yao angrily, with a hint of coldness in her eyes. Tong Yao subconsciously hid behind Xiao Mo, but thinking that as the master's wife, she should have the obligation to break up the fight. So he gritted his teeth and stood up. Then, that master must have his reasons for doing this. Don't blame him. Shut up. Before Tong Yao finished speaking, Xiaoya shouted back angrily. I suddenly had tears in my eyes and didn't dare to speak. At this moment, Xiao Mo finally understood why his sister was suddenly angry. In addition to feeling sorry for my father, there is also a more important point, that is, I lied to them. This matter is indeed your own problem. Advertisement: my younger sister goes to the same school as me, 2 grades below me. If word spread that the school had canceled the award, she would definitely know about it. It's useless no matter how hard you try to hide it. Realizing this, Xiao Mo took the initiative to admit his mistake. I'm sorry, Xiao Ya, I shouldn't have lied to you. Tong Yao is indeed not the top robot girl awarded to me by the school. She is the robot girl I bought from the auction house for 10,000 yuan. Seeing that Xiao Mo finally told the truth, Xiao Ya crossed her hands and leaned on the table. Brother, actually I have heard about it. Because you have not awakened your profession, the school decided privately to award Song Bowen the machine girl that was supposed to be awarded to you. But you are obviously the provincial champion. What qualifications does Song Bowen have? Just because he has a rich dad and your dad is just an ordinary guy? Brother, be prepared to carry such a big thing by yourself. You would rather buy a machine from the auction house and bring it back to recharge? Why don't you tell us? If I don't tell you today, are you going to hide it from me forever? Let me tell you, this matter cannot be left alone. It's your thing, you must take it back. If you don't dare to go, then I will go for you. After saying that, Xiao Ya picked up a bottle from the table angrily and went to find Song Bowen to settle the score. Xiao Mo quickly stopped her. He also knew Xiao Ya's violent temper, which was normal when no one messed with her. Once you meet someone who doesn't like you, you must let them know what it means to persuade others with virtue. But the other party is the young master of Guangyao Group, and he cannot be convinced by bricks and mortar alone. Otherwise, Xiao Mo would have come to the door himself. This matter must wait until he becomes stronger. Otherwise, we can only hit the stone with an egg. Tong Yao on the side was already shocked and speechless, saying that she couldn't afford to offend him. I didn't expect that the master who was so gentle to me would have a sister with such a hot temper. But what surprised her even more was that she didn't expect that something so outrageous would happen to master. That guy named Song Bowen and the principal are so deceptive. In fact, she already felt strange when she heard Uncle Xiao say that her master was the provincial champion. Since he is the provincial champion, Xiao Mo will be rewarded by the state with a top-notch machine girl. Then why did you come to the auction house to buy your own defective machine? Now it seems that I didn't want my family to know about this and make me sad and troubled. Her master is really a very gentle person. But there was one thing she couldn't understand. Why did the master's sister say that the master had no awakening profession? But she had clearly felt a strong professional aura from Xiao Mo before. And when it unfolded into a mecha, a dark golden spear appeared. What is that if not a professional? Chapter 13. Although Tong Yao had doubts in her heart, judging from the current atmosphere, she didn't know whether she should say anything. But fortunately, Xiao Mo told her about it first. That? In fact, I want to tell you that I have awakened my career. If you don't believe it, take a look. With that said, Xiao Mo unfolded his psychic warrior's aura. In an instant, a terrifying pressure came, causing the house to shake slightly. Xiao Mo immediately took back his breath before the house collapsed, but Xiao Ya was still immersed in the scene just now. After a long time, he slowly came back to his senses. Very good. Brother, you have awakened your profession, and you can tell just by feeling the aura that it is a very powerful combat profession. In this way, we will have more reason to get the top mecha back from Song Bowen. As soon as these words came out, it was Tong Yao's turn to cry. She had already figured out the whole thing from the conversation between the two. Although the master is the provincial champion, he was deprived of the reward of the top machine girl because he had not awakened his profession before. Then the master buys himself back from the auction house. But now that the master has awakened his profession, there is reason to get the rewards back. After getting the top machine girl back, will I be abandoned? While on the road, I still fantasized about being able to be with my master forever. And does she really have this qualification? With the master's strength, only top-notch robot girls can match him, not a flawed robot girl like himself. As if feeling the low pressure on Tong Yao, Xiao Mo reached out and touched her head lovingly and said, "No, I won't take that machine back." As soon as he finished speaking, Tong Yao and Xiao Ya raised their heads at the same time and looked at him doubtfully. Why? That is a top-notch machine girl, much better than those in the auction house. Seemingly realizing that what she said hurt Tong Yao's heart, Xiao Ya immediately changed her words. I mean, the top-level machine girls at least have more balanced performance attributes and won't have any flaws. Tong Yao's heart was hit again by the knife thrown by Xiao Ya. Fortunately, Xiao Mo pulled Tong Yao back from Xiao Mo in time. In my heart, Tong Yao is better than any top machine girl, especially the top machine that betrayed me. If it were you, would you accept a machine girl who betrayed you? Don't tell me to ask for it back. Even if she comes to you now, I won't take it. Advertisement Tong Yao, TQT, my master is indeed the gentlest master in the world. Xiao also realized that the top-level machine girl was not a good thing. Such a machine girl, if it were her, she wouldn't want it either. Since my brother has already made his decision, I won't say anything more. It's just that the top machine girl and the guy named Song Bowen were cheaper. It doesn't matter. Although the top girl is gone, the school gave me 1 million as compensation. The value cannot be compared with that of a top-grade machine, but whatever was stolen from me, I will definitely get back twice as much. Song Bowen, Song Yaozu, just wait for me. Speaking of money, Xiao Mo suddenly remembered that Su Yunian still owed him 900,000. When he thought that a bottle of nutrient solution for a machine girl cost more than 500 yuan, Xiao Mo suddenly felt that raising a machine girl didn't seem that easy. It seems that we have to ask that guy Su Xiaopeng to send the money as soon as possible. By the way, now that you know about this, do you mean that Dad? Dad, he doesn't know. I didn't tell him. When I heard about it from my classmates, I planned to wait for you to come back to discuss whether to tell Dad. I just didn't expect that before that. Xiaoya didn't say anything else, but rubbed her stomach. I'm so angry that I'm hungry, brother. Let's eat first. We'll discuss whether to tell Dad later. Yeah, okay. Looking at the two siblings who were wolfing down the delicious food, Tong Yao said weakly, That? Master, then, do you still want to call Uncle Xiao back? Xiao Mo? F***K. How could I have forgotten this? The next morning, when Xiao Mo woke up from the sofa, he found that his left arm seemed to be pressed by something and he could not move. I opened my eyes and looked. Oh, it looks like a white cat. Just when he was about to close his eyes and continue dreaming, he suddenly woke up. What white cat? That's obviously his robot girl. Advertisement because there were only 3 rooms in the house. One for Dad Xiao Shunhe, one for Sister Xiaoya, and his own room was given to Tong Yao, while Xiao Mo slept on the sofa in the living room. But how come when I woke up in the morning, Tong Yao was lying next to me? At this moment, as if feeling Xiao Mo's body move, Tong Yao, who was lying on the ground, raised her head blankly, looking sleepy, very cute. Xiao Mo only felt that his heart was hit by a violent bombardment. Before she could say anything, Tong Yao's face suddenly turned red and white smoke began to come out of her head. Seeing this, Xiao Mo asked anxiously, Tong Yao, why are you sleeping here with smoke coming out of your head? Are you sick? Xiao Mo thought that he had not missed any knowledge points during the class, but he had never heard that the robot girl could get sick. Tong Yao didn't know how to answer. You can't say that I sneaked into the living room in the middle of the night just because I wanted to stay by the master's side. What should I do if I am considered a self-respecting girl? Thinking of this, Tong Yao's face turned even redder. Did you have a nightmare last night and that's why you ran into the living room? Xiao Mo remembered that when Xiaoya was a child, she would run to her room whenever she had a nightmare and pester him to sleep with her. So I subconsciously thought that Tong Yao was also for this reason. Tong Yao touched her face, which was so hot that she could fry an egg on it, nodded immediately, and went down the steps Xiao Mo gave her. With all this noise, I couldn't get any sleep. Anyway, it was already dawn outside the window, so Xiao Mo simply got up and started preparing things. He had already planned today's itinerary before going to bed last night. I have to hurry up and get the qualification certificate of the Wasteland Hunter. This world is different from the planet where Xiao Mo lived in his previous life. In addition to the species of organic girls, there are also monsters. No one knows where those monsters come from. We only know that they may come at any time and anywhere. And every time he descends, a space similar to a copy will be opened. The so-called hunters are a group of people who drive mechas into dungeons to hunt monsters. It can be said that the status of scavengers on planet Earth is far higher than that of ordinary people, because the monsters killed have many values such as scientific research, medicine, and forging. In addition, something called crystal stone will also appear in the copy. This stone contains powerful energy. After a long period of research, it has gradually replaced many conventional energy sources such as coal and oil, becoming the largest energy source on the planet. Even the nutrient solution that the robot girl drinks on a daily basis is made by extracting the energy from the crystal stone. Therefore, every Earthling must learn the knowledge related to driving a mecha starting from middle school to prepare for becoming a wasteland hunter in the future. After learning all this, Xiao Mo determined to become a powerful wasteland hunter. Now that we have the robot girl, it is even more imperative. Then, obtaining a hunter qualification certificate is the first step. Chapter 14. There is only one requirement for obtaining the hunter qualification certificate, which is to successfully pass the assessment copy by driving the contracted machine girl. The assessment dungeon located in Hangzhou is called Kedra Dungeon. The Kedra replica is an artificial replica. The replica is created using materials and resources obtained from the authentic replica. Each startup requires a lot of energy. Therefore, those who participate in the assessment need to pay a fee of 50,000. If you pass the assessment, you can obtain the Hunter Qualification Certificate. If you fail, you will need to pay the fee again if you take the assessment next time. Although it is an artificial copy, those who take the assessment will not die after being killed by the monster inside. But the fear of death is very real. And as a primary copy, the monsters inside are not weak. Because of this, just the Hunter Qualification Assessment will eliminate a large number of people who dream of becoming hunters. Some of these people will choose to continue training to improve their strength before taking the assessment. There are also some people who, after one or more failures, recognize the reality and choose to work honestly and find another way to make a living. Before this, Xiao Mo had already checked a lot of information about Kedra's copy. Combining his own strength with Tong Yao's explosive performance, it shouldn't be difficult for him to pass such a basic copy. Just when Xiao Mo was about to go out after breakfast, Xiao Shenhe suddenly stopped him and handed him a bottle of nutrient solution. Wait a minute, I just got paid 2 days ago and bought something nice. Come, take this with you. Xiao Mo took a closer look and found that the bottle of nutritional solution in a yellow package had the words, quick-acting nutritional supplement, written on it. It was a nutrient solution that could quickly restore the machine's battery life. In addition to providing energy to the machine girl, conventional nutrient solution can also slowly restore the battery life, armor, psychic energy, and other attributes consumed in battle. But this fast-acting nutritional supplement can quickly replenish these attributes and restore the machine to its best condition, suitable for use in protracted battles that require a lot of time. At the same time, it is also a must-have item for hunters to enter the dungeon and open up Wasteland. After all, one more bottle of fast-acting nutritional supplement solution means more protection. Because of this, its price is much higher than ordinary nutrient solution. As far as Xiao Mo knows, such a small bottle costs over 100,000 yuan. However, this fast-acting nutritional supplement solution also has an obvious disadvantage. That is, it can only be used once a day. Otherwise, it will put a burden on the machine girl's body and lead to permanent performance decline. Xiao Mo knew that his father did not hesitate to spend a lot of money to buy this bottle of quick-acting nutritional supplement, not because he had no confidence in himself, but just to improve his success rate in passing the examination. Advertisement, because there is no prohibition on the use of this type of nutrient solution during the Hunter Qualification Certificate assessment. However, if someone uses the quick-acting nutritional supplement during the assessment and clears the copy, the clearance evaluation will definitely be affected. The clearance evaluation of the copy ranges from the lowest D level upwards to C level, B level, A level, and S level. For example, a person who could have obtained an A-level score had used a quick-acting nutritional supplement during the assessment. Then, his rating will be reduced from level A to level B. This rating has no impact on obtaining the Hunter Qualification Certificate, but it will affect whether you can join certain hunter organizations in the future. After all, those organizations don't like players with too low ratings to join. However, for those who have poor machine attributes and poor driver skills, lowering their score is better than failing the assessment. Tong Yao's machine has a battery life attribute of 70 points. For this most basic copy, there is no need to worry about running out of supplies. In addition, the system also issued a task, requiring Xiao Mo to pass the assessment copy with the highest S-level evaluation. Completing the mission will earn you 10 MP points. Therefore, he will never use quick-acting nutritional supplements during the assessment. But after seeing Xiao Shenhe's expectant eyes, he still took it. At any rate, it was my father's wish. And if he takes it himself, he will feel more at ease. Thanks, Dad. This is good stuff. Seeing that he accepted it happily, Xiao Shenhe smiled with a sense of accomplishment and was even happier than being paid. It's a small thing. Just tell me when you're done with it, and I'll buy it for you. Okay, Daddy. Tong Yao, let's set off. Xiao Mo put away the quick-acting nutritional supplement solution. He wouldn't be able to use it, at least not in today's assessment. It's just a small assessment, not necessary at all. When Xiao Mo walked away, Xiaoya stuffed the last piece of bread into her mouth, tied her shoelaces, and said vaguely, Dad, you really dote on your brother. You buy a bottle of 100,000 bottles of fast-acting nutritional supplements as soon as you ask for it. That's your salary for a year. Xiao Shenhe glanced at Xiaoya lovingly, then looked up at the figure who disappeared at the corner of the street, and murmured, What are you greedy? Advertisement who asked your brother to live up to his expectations and become the top scholar in the province. He even saved me the money to buy a mobile phone. Why don't I buy him something nice as a reward? If you get the top score in the provincial examination in the future, I will buy it for you too. Seeing Xiao Shunha's proud expression, Xiao Ye decided to keep Xiao Mo's matter a secret. The man in front of him, who is only in his 40s and has gray hair on his temples, has been caring about their family for half his life. There are some things that the younger generation should take care of themselves. After tying her shoelaces, Xiao Ye pouted and whispered, I don't need you to buy it. Whether it's a machine or a nutrient solution, I can buy it myself in the future. After saying that, he carried a bag and went out. This little girl is becoming more competitive. By the way, isn't today the weekend? Where are you going with your school bag so early in the morning? Go to the library. Leaving these words behind, Xiao Ye ran all the way and disappeared around the corner of the street. At the same time, the Hangzhou Wilderness Hunters Association, the staff yawned as they prepared to open the door. The next second, a bunch of people rushed in. The staff suddenly lost all sleepiness and complained, Damn it, what day is it today, and why are there so many people here so early in the morning? Hey. Slow down, the door will be squeezed. Look at the dark circles under your eyes. Did you stay up all night playing cards again last night? If you play less cards and look at the calendar more, you should know that it is graduation season and there will naturally be more people coming to take the assessment. I'm going. Why did you forget such an important day? If I had known that the workload today would be so heavy, I would have missed a few games last night. Today's work is not easy. What are you tired? My job is easy, and I am in urgent need of money. I will sell it to you for 6,000. Guaranteed you make 3,000 a month, get your money back in 2 months, and make a net profit starting from the 3rd month. Gungun, don't try to fool me. I just didn't wake up. It's not like I'm brainless. Work. Chapter 15. Xiao Mo went out early, but when he arrived at the Hunters Association, he found a long queue at the door. He quickly took a number and lined up at the back of the line with Tong Yao. Immediately afterwards, he took out his mobile phone and called Su Yunian. But I don't know why, but after making 3 or 4 calls in a row, it said that the call could not be connected temporarily. Strange, that guy Su Xiaopeng is probably still sleeping in, right? We had obviously made an appointment to take the assessment together, but they actually let me go. Although the Hunter Association can open more than 10 independent Kedra copies at the same time, it cannot stop the large number of people. It took several minutes for the team to move forward. Forget it, ignore him. Maybe it will come later. Perhaps because queuing was too boring, the big young man in front of him turned to him to chat and pass the time. Little brother, how many times have you come to take the Hunter qualification assessment? Xiao Mo is not an aloof person. Anyway, he is idle and can chat for a few words. This is my first time here. Upon hearing that it was Xiao Mo's first time to take the assessment, the big young man immediately assumed the posture of a senior and began to impart his experience. Then you should be a recent graduate. I'm not telling you. Although this Kedra copy is called a junior copy, it is actually not simple at all. I took the exam more than a dozen times and failed. Listening to these words, Tong Yao almost blurted out, then you were too good at it, right? Fortunately, Xiao Mo reacted quickly and covered Tong Yao's mouth in time before she said the word Kai. But the other party obviously cared about what Tong Yao just said. He looked at Tong Yao, who couldn't speak and could only wow, and said curiously, Little brother, is this your machine girl? What did she just say? Xiao Mo rolled his eyes and lied. Oh, she just said that you were so unlucky. The next second, the tall young man slapped his thigh fiercely and said angrily, Oh, I get angry when I talk about this. I'm really unlucky. Each assessment either failed due to exhaustion of armor, or the machine girl's battery life was insufficient and the expansion mode was automatically released. Especially last time, I was actually very close to killing the dungeon boss. Unexpectedly, when the boss's blood volume was only 30%, he actually went crazy, G and smashing, and all of a sudden the machine girl's armor was destroyed. I hate that. You know, I spent no less than 300,000 on the cost of this assessment alone. The man was beating his chest, and it looked like he was really angry, but Xiao Mo admired his courage. After all, the number of times he failed was equivalent to the number of deaths he experienced. Advertisement: normal people have long had a psychological shadow and dare not come to participate again. But he still acted like nothing happened. I have to say, he has a really big heart. When he said those words, the girl standing next to him also looked a little embarrassed. After all, her armor and endurance attributes are indeed a bit low. If it were higher, I wouldn't have failed my master's exam so many times. But Xiao Mo doesn't think so. He saw the attributes of this machine girl at a glance. Strength, 63 armor, 45 psionics, 47 armed, 66 battery life, 50 speed increase, 62 flexible, 42 stable. 70 such attributes cannot be compared with high-performance mechas such as Daisy and Tong Yao, but it is definitely more than enough to participate in a junior copy like Kedra. I haven't passed the test so many times. I can only say that this guy's mecha driving and combat skills are really not that good, especially since he didn't even know the common knowledge that the boss would go berserk when his blood volume dropped to 30%. I can only say that he was defeated unjustly. Just when Xiao Mo was about to say something, the young man in front of the tall young man also turned around and joined in the chat. I said, brother, you haven't done enough strategy. Like me, I spent a whole night studying the Kedra dungeon guide yesterday. I wrote down all the places where monsters are most likely to be lurking, which monsters are the most disgusting, and so on. I have absolute confidence in today's assessment, and I can pass it at a cliff. Unexpectedly, the big young man looked disdainful. You actually believe those so-called Kedra dungeon guides on the internet? It seems like you are a newbie too. Huh, brother, how do you know I am a newcomer? Cut. That's not easy yet. Anyone who has participated in 2 or more Wilderness Hunter qualification assessments will know that the maps for these assessment copies are different every time they are launched. Even if you memorize the distribution of monsters in the guide shared by others, it is of no use. When you go up, you will find that it is completely different. This happened and I wasted a whole night. If I had known this, I might as well have spent more time getting familiar with the machine girl. Seeing the newcomer's depressed look, the tall young man patted his shoulder and comforted him. Don't be discouraged. Haven't you met me now? I don't have any good qualities as a person. I just have a warm heart. If there is still enough time, I can share with you the experience I have gained from so many assessments. Advertisement, real? That's great, bro. Don't mention it. We are all brothers. Actually, if you read the guide, it's not useless. At least you already know which monsters will appear in the dungeon. Artificial copies like Kedra copies, no matter how many times they are started, have one thing in common. That is, the types of monsters that appear are the same, and even the number will not change. Because only in this way can the fairness and difficulty of the assessment be guaranteed to a certain extent. If the map and monster locations are the same every time you start a dungeon, wouldn't everyone be able to pass it as long as they follow the strategy? That would defeat the original purpose of this assessment. It was established to screen out those who have combat prowess and mecha driving skills. Listening to the big young man's experience, Xiao Mo couldn't help but nod it. As early as when he was in school, he had researched various Kedra dungeon strategies on the internet and extracted the information he thought was useful. It contains the experiences that the big young man mentioned. This made him couldn't help but sigh. This guy is really generous and has no secret at all. He actually took out his own experience and shared it with strangers. Therefore, Xiao Mo also planned to help him. I heard from a friend who just passed the assessment yesterday that the boss of Kedra's copy is actually not scary when he is violent. Its berserk effect only lasts half a minute. When it wants to start its rage, it must immediately distance itself and make sure not to let the boss get close. After half a minute, the boss will fall into a period of weakness for nearly 10 seconds. This time is the best opportunity to attack. As long as you remember this, defeating the boss is not difficult. After hearing Xiao Mo's words, the tall young man suddenly became happy. Little brother, your friend must be a recent graduate, right? I passed the assessment yesterday, so I must have passed it in one go. It's awesome. I've taken note of what you said. If you pass today's assessment, I'll treat you to a drink. By the way, what's your name? Xiao Mo. My name is De Chun. The two continued chatting for a while, and the team advanced a lot, and soon entered the hall of the Hunters Association. But at this time, Su Yunian was still nowhere to be seen. Still can't get through the phone call. At this moment, Xiao Mo saw the electronic display screen on the wall of the hall. There are rows of names on the display screen, as well as the time. Those are the ratings obtained by those who have cleared the Kedra dungeon since its establishment, as well as the rankings of the time it took to clear the dungeon. The people who can appear on this display screen are all talented drivers and machine girls. However, when Xiao Mo saw the name above, his face immediately turned cold, because at the top of the list are two names that he is very familiar with. Song Bowen, Xingyao. Chapter 16. It seems that Song Bowen is quite impatient. After getting the robot yesterday, he couldn't wait to take part in the Wasteland Hunter qualification assessment. The clearance rating was S, and the clearance time was 29 minutes and 54 seconds, which really made me proud. Xiao Mo said this with a forced smile. Tong Yao, who had remained silent, also raised her head at this time. She clearly remembered that Xiao Ye said yesterday that the person who stole her Master Province's top scholar award was named Song Bowen. Not only was the top-level mecha girl taken away from him, but today he saw her name appear in the first place. Master must be feeling very uncomfortable right now, right? As the Master's daughter, I should comfort him at this time. Tong Yao thought so in her heart. But just when she was about to speak to comfort Xiao Mo, the Chun in front of her spoke first. Little brother, do you know Song Bowen? It is said that he is also a recent graduate and caused quite a stir after the examination yesterday. After all, he was the one who broke the previous record for the shortest clearance time. Look, that's Lu Yuntao, who is now ranked second. S-level score, cleared the game in 30 minutes and 12 seconds. Before that, this record had not been broken for 2 consecutive years. By the way, you are also a graduate of Hangzhou this year, so it's not surprising that you know Song Bowen. I'll tell you a secret. After I heard the news, I searched for Song Bowen. I didn't expect that he was the son of the director of Guangyao Group. He has a great father, and he himself has good abilities. Such a gifted child is really enviable. By the way, the friend you just mentioned, could it be him? You are so lucky to have such a friend. Seeing the envious expression on Dachuan's face, Xiao Mo couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Friend? An enemy is more like an enemy. Therefore, Xiao Mo shook his head and denied. No, I'm not familiar with Song Bowen. Oh, I see. Dachuan felt it was a bit of a pity. After all, who doesn't want to have a friend who is both powerful and rich? At this time, the young man who had been chatting with Dachuan before also spoke up. As for me, what I envy the most is Song Bowen's mobile phone. But I heard that his machine, called Xingyao, is a top-notch machine. If my mecha girl is also a top-tier one, after today, my name will definitely appear on the ranking list. Advertisement, you mean you dislike me for not being a top-notch mecha girl? Ouch, be gentle, it hurts. But before the man could finish his words, his hot-tempered robot girl nearly twisted his ears off. This scene caused people around to burst into laughter. Only Tong Yao frowned, looking at Xiao Mo from time to time, then at the people around her, as if she wanted to say something but hesitated. She really wanted to tell Xiao Mo that she would do her best to help the master achieve good results. But many times, the words were on the tip of my tongue, but I just didn't have the courage to say them. During this time of chatting, several people finished their assessment and walked out of the room. Most of them had sad faces, only a few came out smiling. You don't have to guess what the assessment results are. After all, they are written on their faces. One of the men, who looked very proud, suddenly stopped when passing by Xiao Mo and said sarcastically, "Hey, isn't this Xiao Mo, the former celebrity of our school? Why are you here at the Wasteland Hunters Association? Are you planning to take the test?" No way, no way. A person without a job also wants to pass the assessment. Hearing this, Xiao Mo frowned slightly. I took one look at the man who was speaking and recognized him immediately. It was his classmate, Du Ziding. Xiao Mo remembered clearly that before the awakening ceremony was held in the school, Du Ziding's attitude towards him was not the same as it is now. It can be said that at that time, he still respected himself. Sometimes, in order for me to tutor him in the skills of simulating the control of the robot, I would serve him tea and pour water in various ways, and he was very attentive. At that time, Xiao Mo thought that although this person was a little annoying, he was not bad at all, so he often taught him some regular skills. However, after the awakening ceremony, he learned that Xiao Mo turned out to be an unemployed person, and his attitude towards Xiao Mo changed completely from then on. When you see yourself, you will inevitably get all kinds of cynicism. He also licked his face every day to get close to Song Bowen, a hidden professional. But this is good. At least it allows Xiao Mo to see clearly what this guy is like. Like grass on the wall, they follow the trend. Because they had a good relationship before, Xiao Mo wasn't very angry when Du Ziding said this, but just ignored him lazily. But Du Ziding was unwilling to give up. Perhaps because he had just passed the hunter qualification test, Du Ziding took out his hunter identity certificate, waved it in front of Xiao Mo, and showed off. See, this is the hunter's proof. It's something you can't get in your life. I can pass it easily, young master. Are you envious? Xiao Mo glanced at it and happened to see a big D written in the scoring column on his certificate. The lowest rating for passing a copy of Kedra. Advertisement. This rating is indeed the same as what he showed during the simulation training in school before, which is simply a piece of cake. The fact that he was able to pass the assessment was entirely due to his good luck in buying a machine girl with fairly balanced attributes. Seeing the other party mocking Xiao Mo like this, the tall young man also stood up to help speak. I don't know if there is anything going on between you, but since we are classmates at the same school and have gone to school together for 3 years, we have a more or less classmate friendship. so there is no need to target them. Xiao Mo, don't take what he said to heart. Although unemployed people do not have as strong physical fitness as professionals, they can still improve through acquired exercise. I believe you still have a chance to pass the assessment. Even if you fail this time, try a few more times. Look at me, haven't you ever given up? Not only did Du Ziding not appreciate Dachuan's kind words, but after learning that Dachuan had failed the test several times, he immediately felt superior and became even more rude. You have failed the test so many times. It turns out that you are just like Xiao Mo, an unemployed person, and you are also a waste. Waste and waste together really prove the saying, birds of a feather flock together. Being called a waste, Oaken's face turned ugly. If he hadn't been worried that he would be kicked out of the Hunter Association if he took action, he might have already punched him. What Xiao Mo didn't expect was that his wife would actually step forward at this time. Tong Yao's face turned red. She mustered up great courage, took a step forward, glared at Du Ziding and said, "My master is not useless. He is a very powerful pilot. I don't allow you to say that about my master." Perhaps because of nervousness, Tong Yao's voice was soft, and to Xiao Mo's ears, it was quite cute. Especially when she was so nervous and still chose to stand up and speak for him. Xiao Mo felt as sweet as honey. Du Ziding looked at the machine girl in front of him up and down and said, "Xiao Mo, this is your machine girl." Hiss, why does it look familiar? Oh, I remembered. Isn't this the machine girl with almost zero armor in the Galaxy Auction House? She was not sent to be transformed into a functional machine girl. It turned out that she was bought by you. Ha ha ha. Trash pilot and trash machine girl. You two are a perfect match. Du Ziding seemed to have heard a big joke, laughing so hard that he fell forward and backward. But not long after he smiled, he felt a terrifying energy fluctuation. There was even colder murderous intent in that energy fluctuation. Taking a closer look, he suddenly discovered that a black vortex appeared behind Xiao Mo, and in the whirlpool, there was a pair of blue eyes, which seemed to be able to capture the soul, staring at him. At the same time, Xiao Mo's cold and deep voice sounded, "Call me trash. Okay, I'm too lazy to argue with you. Just treat it like a mad dog barking. But you shouldn't call me a jerk." Chapter 17. A strong professional aura swept through the association hall, instantly making everyone feel an invisible pressure. Du Ziding's breathing was even more stagnant, and he covered his chest in horror, as if his heart was pinched hard by a hand. He concluded that the terrifying aura in Xiao Mo's body obviously came from the combat profession. Du Ziding's eyes widened, his lips trembled, and he stammered. You actually awakened your profession? How is this possible? During the awakening ceremony, you clearly... Suddenly, Du Ziding recalled that Su Yunian had said that Xiao Mo's development was relatively slow. That's why he didn't awaken his profession. Could it be that he was really right? De Chun was also shocked by this scene. He lifted his shocked chin and murmured, "You call this a jobless person?" I almost believed it. Just when Xiao Mo was about to take a step forward, he felt the corner of his clothes being pulled. Looking back, Tong Yao was looking at herself with a look that looked like a request, and whispered, "My master, can you please stop fighting?" The professional restrictions regulations stipulate that professionals cannot use professional abilities to cause harm to humans outside of dungeons, training grounds, etc., otherwise they will be caught. Get up. I don't want the master to be arrested because of me. I know the master must be very angry now, but I can prove in another way that I am not a waste machine. Tong Yao spoke with a cute expression and a numb voice, and Xiao Mo lost half of his anger after hearing this. Where can I find such a cute and sensible girl? Xiao Mo almost couldn't hold back and wanted to pinch Tong Yao's chubby little face. Okay, I'll listen to you. He smiled lovingly at Tong Yao and took back his professional aura. The people around him immediately breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, when Xiao Mo released his breath, 2 uniformed association personnel came towards him. As Tong Yao said, as long as you dare to attack others in public, they will rush to subdue you without hesitation. Although Xiao Mo didn't really intend to take action, he just wanted Du Ziding to apologize to his girlfriend. He doesn't care if others call him useless, but he would never allow others to call his machine girl a waste. You apologize to my wife. Xiao Mo turned around and looked at Du Ziding with cold eyes. Advertisement perhaps because he knew that Xiao Mo did not dare to do anything to him due to the restrictions on professionals. Du Ziding became more confident again. He mustered up his courage and said, "Why do you want me to apologize to a machine girl? And what I said is right. She is a useless machine girl who has been rejected many times in a row. If you want me to apologize, fine. You can pilot this machine to take the test, and if you do better than me, no. If I can break Song Bowen's record, then I will admit that she is not a waste machine and apologize to her. How about it? Do you dare? While talking, more people present recognized Tong Yao and whispered, I remembered. Isn't this mecha the same mecha with almost zero armor? I heard from a friend who attended the Galaxy auction last night that when someone bought this machine, I didn't believe it. I didn't expect it to be true. Yes, this young man is really bold. This machine has such a fatal flaw, yet she still dares to ask for it. If he were to pilot this robot to take part in the assessment, wouldn't it mean that if he accidentally received an attack, the expansion mode would be released, causing him to fail the assessment? If you are unlucky, you may even paralyze yourself. TSK. Du Zeding has no good intentions. He actually laid such a vicious trick to make people jump. Dachuan also understood the general situation through the conversation and advised, Xiao Mo, please don't agree to him. He is trying to harm you. Yes, just ignore this kind of person. Moreover, they also ask you to break Song Bowen's customs clearance record, which is obviously to make things difficult for you. Du Zeding rolled his eyes and spoke again. Making things difficult? I didn't make things difficult for him. Xiao Mo, if I remember correctly, your simulated driving scores are much higher than Song Bowen, right? With such conditions here, it is not easy to break Song Bowen's record. Since you want to prove that your machine girl is not a useless machine girl, is it difficult to meet such conditions? If you compete with me, even if you win, it still won't prove that your machine girl is not a useless machine girl. I have to say that the logic of Du Zeding's words is still very clear. Advertisement: the assessment needs to be conducted jointly by the driver and the machine. Only when one variable remains unchanged can the difference in the other variable be compared. Now, when Xiao Mo's driving skills are already better than Song Bowen's, it really doesn't make sense to compare him with others. But Xiao Mo didn't care at all. He was originally unhappy because of Song Bowen and Xing Yao. One wants to steal the machine girl that belongs to him openly, while the other dislikes that he is unemployed, so he openly betrays her. With such a combination, Xiao Mo was ready to slap them in the face. What about the Chaeble's son-in-law? What about top-notch machine girls? He will definitely be able to drive Tong Yao and trample them all under his feet. Xiao Mo ignored the dissuasion of others and directly agreed to Du Zeding's request. That's what you said. Remember what you said, your apology. I will make a decision. There are no useless robot girls, only useless pilots. I will let those who look down on Tong Yao know that you are wrong. She is a very good machine girl. No one noticed that while the two were arguing, a tall woman with bronze skin walked into the Hunter Association with her machine girl. The woman was wearing a short tight vest and denim shorts, and the muscles on her arms and thighs were full of lines and beauty. Although not as exaggerated as those muscular men, he obviously also has extremely strong explosive power. Her cyborg is also the kind of cyborg with a strong figure, and the word King Kong Barbie is tailor-made for her. King Kong Barbie shook her strong muscles, rubbed her hands and said, Master, someone is making trouble in the association. Do you want me to take care of it? The bronze-skinned woman waved her hand. No, it's just children quarreling. As long as they don't do anything, just let them be. Who didn't feel a little frivolous when they first left school? And I also care about what that person said. I want to see how that young man is going to prove this. But Master, we can't see them when they are conducting assessments, and it should take half an hour for him to finish the assessment. Why don't we get down to business first, and then look at his results after we're done? The bronze-skinned woman nodded. That's it. I hope to see his name appear on the rankings by then. Chapter 18. Candidates number 72 to 75 are invited to register and prepare to start the qualification assessment. Xiao Mo stepped forward and handed his number plate and various documents to the staff. After checking the information and registering, the staff said to Xiao Mo, the Kedra replica is an artificial replica. Death in the artificial replica will not really lead to death, but you will need to bear some pain. If there is no problem, ask the driver and the pilot to sign the agreement. The registration fee is 50,000 yuan. After paying the fee, go to the innermost room number 1 to take the assessment. Xiao Mo checked the agreement carefully and found that there was nothing wrong with it, so he signed his name. But when it was Tong Yao's turn to sign, her hand holding the pen was shaking slightly. Obviously, she was a little nervous. This is normal. After all, this will be Tong Yao's first time entering the dungeon. Although I had a battle with Su Yunian last night, compared with the dungeon, it was still completely different. The only opponent yesterday was Su Yunian, but there were more than one monster in the dungeon. Often you will encounter situations where several monsters join forces to attack. And the boss is even more powerful than ordinary monsters. At that time, can I still protect the master from being hurt by monsters? Just when Tong Yao was nervous, her hand was held tightly by Xiao Mo. Don't be afraid. Leave everything to me. I will protect you. Xiao Mo's voice was calm, and his tone was still so gentle. Feeling the warmth coming from the palm of her hand, for some reason, Tong Yao's original nervousness actually relaxed a little. She raised the corners of her mouth, nodded vigorously, and silently recited in her heart, "I'm not a useless machine girl. I'm not a useless machine girl." Dachuan and his machine girl also had their turn for the assessment. Before entering the room, they made cheering gestures to Xiao Mo and Tong Yao. Pushing open the door of room 1, a tall piece of equipment appeared in front of you. In front of the device is an oval metal pipe, which emits little bits of light as energy is injected into it. That's part of the copy generator. It starts as soon as the door closes. Along with the roar of the equipment, a light blue curtain similar to a mirror appeared in front of the two people. That is the entrance to Kedra's copy. Candidates, please note that after entering the copy, there is 1 minute of preparation time. Advertisement: the assessment officially begins after 1 minute. Please unfold the mecha form with the machine girl in time before the assessment begins. After the assessment notes were broadcast, Xiao Mo and Tong Yao looked at each other and stepped into the dungeon entrance. Xiao Mo only felt that the surrounding scenery was changing rapidly. When it stabilized, he and Tong Yao had appeared in a misty valley, and the entrance behind them had disappeared. If you want to leave the copy, there are only 2 ways. Successfully pass the level, or be defeated by monsters. Tong Yao, let's unfold it. Okay, master. The two people stretched out their hands and intertwined their fingers. After a burst of familiar white light, a cool silver-white mecha rose from the ground. As the 1-minute countdown comes to an end, the fog in the valley gradually dissipates, and the scenery ahead begins to appear. Xiao Mo looked ahead about 30 meters away from the two of them. There were 2 monsters with human bodies and snake tails, motionless as if they were frozen. But he knew that as soon as the countdown ended, they would immediately start moving. Suddenly, Xiao Mo's eyes stopped on the heads of the 2 monsters, where 4 white words, Nanduo Snake Demon, floated. Xiao Mo was confused. The name of this monster is Nanda Snake Demon? It's strange, after reading so many guides, no one has ever mentioned being able to see the names of monsters. Could it be that this is also the capability of the system? After thinking about it, there is only one possibility. After all, he can even see the attributes of the machine girl. In comparison, it is not surprising that he can see the names of monsters. Master, it's time to begin. In unfolded mode, there is a mysterious spiritual connection between the robot and the driver. Under this layer of connection, Tong Yao could feel that her master seemed to be distracted for a moment. That's why I reminded you loudly. Xiao Mo also realized this and responded, "Okay, I understand. The most important thing at the moment is to treat this assessment well." He was still waiting for Du Zeding to apologize to Tong Yao after the assessment. 3, 2, 1. At the moment when the countdown ended, Xiao Mo turned the mecha's engine to maximum power, and the entire mecha was launched like a cannonball. To him, the distance of 30 meters was just the blink of an eye. One of the Nantua snake demons had just regained its ability to move when it felt that the valley in its sight was turned upside down. Advertisement with a pop sound. The moment his head fell to the ground, he saw his own body. The head above the neck has disappeared, replaced by a bloody fountain. The Nanda snake is one of the weakest monsters in the Kedra dungeon. The only advantage is flexibility and the strong and powerful snake tail winding. If you are not very skilled in driving, it will be more difficult to deal with 2 Nantua snake monsters at the same time. When he was checking the guide, there was a blogger who was relatively unlucky. When he took part in the hunter qualification test for the first time, he actually encountered 4 Nanduo snake monsters at the same time. As a result, the mecha's limbs were entangled by the Nanduo snake demon, and there was no chance of escape. It just watched helplessly as the armor was exhausted and failed. Therefore, the key point in fighting the Nanda snake demon is to strike first and avoid being entangled by it. Therefore, Xiao Mo unreservedly used Tong Yao's acceleration attribute from the beginning to seize the opportunity. But what I didn't expect was that Tong Yao, who was accelerating with all her strength, would have such terrifying acceleration. They killed the Nanduo snake demon almost as soon as it regained its mobility. Originally, Xiao Mo planned to add another skill. Now it seems that there is no need for that at all. It is indeed a strength attribute of 87 points. A Nanduo snake demon was killed, and its companions reacted and attacked Xiao Mo. The flexible snake tail wraps around like a whip, moving very quickly. However, Xiao Mo driving Tong Yao was faster. With a twist of his wrist, the dark golden spear swept out. With a flash of red light, the Nanduo snake demon's tail broke into 2 sections and fell to the ground, fluttering wildly. The severe pain caused by the severed tail made the Nandu snake demon couldn't help but want to let out a painful roar. However, the moment it opened its mouth, there was a flash of cold light, and the dark golden spear directly pierced its head. After getting rid of the 2 Nantua snake monsters, Xiao Mo didn't stop at all and continued to drive Tong Yao through the valley as fast as lightning. At the same time, in the hall of the Hunters Association, Du Zeding sat in the rest area with his legs crossed, drinking coffee leisurely. As long as the robot driven by Xiao Mo has a few armor attribute points, he will not be so comfortable. Because there is a monster called Drum Frog in Kedra's copy. The characteristic of this monster is that it can emit sound waves similar to drumming. The robot girls and pilots who hear this sound will experience an abnormal state where their armor will continue to drop. This armor-removing debuff status just sounds like a bit of a headache to others and doesn't pose much of a threat. But for Tong Yao, whose armor is almost 0, she is definitely her nemesis. Therefore, Du Zeding determined that Xiao Mo would definitely lose. Chapter 19. Du Zeding has not been a talented person since he was a child. No matter how hard he worked, his rankings were always at the bottom. Therefore, he was very envious of top students like Xiao Mo who got first place in the grade in every exam. At the beginning, he tried every means to please Xiao Mo and get close to him, all in order to improve his performance through Xiao Mo's help. After a period of time, it did have an effect. With Xiao Mo's help, his performance improved slightly. However, his family is still not satisfied. From time to time, he would be compared with Xiao Mo. Look at other people. They always get first place in their grade. How about you? Count down again and again. Why did I give birth to such a useless son like you? It's so G embarrassing to me. Abuse like this filled his life. I don't know since when, Du Zeding's envy of Xiao Mo turned into jealousy and then resentment. They obviously have 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 eyes, and 1 ear. So why is there such a big gap between him and Xiao Mo? He hated why Xiao Mo ranked first in his grade every time. If Xiao Mo falls down from the altar one day, then when his family compares Xiao Mo to him again, he will have reason to refute. However, at the awakening ceremony after the college entrance examination, this opportunity finally came to him. Xiao Mo, who was once hailed as the #1 genius in Hangzhou, has never awakened his profession. At that moment, Du Zeding was extremely happy. Because his wish came true, even he, a person who often counts down, had a chance to step on Xiao Mo. No, not once, but in the rest of his life, he will beat Xiao Mo. This gave him a great psychological balance. But now, you actually told me that Xiao Mo has awakened his profession? This caused Du Zeding's hard-earned sense of superiority and confidence to collapse in an instant. But God gave him another chance. That is, Xiao Mo chose a defective machine girl to participate in the Hunter qualification assessment. How could it possibly pass? Du Zeding's eyes were red, as if he could already see the disappointed expression on Xiao Mo's face after he failed the assessment. Xiao Mo, even if you have awakened your profession, you are no longer a genius. Look at you. After falling from the altar, you can only pilot a defective machine. Do you still want me to apologize to your little girl? Advertisement dream. In the Kedra dungeon, Xiao Mo was still a little jerky when driving Tong Yao the night before. But now, he has become more and more skilled. In particular, Tong Yao's almost abnormal flexibility is becoming more and more adaptable. If you can observe it from God's perspective, you can almost only see a silvery lightning flashing rapidly through the valley. Wherever it passes, every monster will be killed with 1 hit. And as the 2 people cooperated more and more tacitly, Tong Yao gradually entered the state. Xiao Mo found that Tong Yao showed no signs of cowardice or lack of confidence when she became serious. It can be seen that everything is developing in the direction Xiao Mo expected. That's it. I will definitely make you believe from the bottom of your heart that you are an excellent machine girl. Xiao Mo thought to himself. Master, 5 monsters were found 100 meters ahead. At this time, Tong Yao's voice came. There was a hint of nervousness and worry in his words. Up to 3 monsters encountered along the way appeared at the same time. Now that 5 heads appeared at the same time, Tong Yao's self-confidence obviously began to waver again. And there is also a monster that looks like a toad. When Xiao Mo saw the name above the head of this monster, relevant information came to mind. Drum Frog. Can emit a sonic attack similar to drumming, putting the mecha into a debuff state that continuously reduces armor. The sound wave stops, and it automatically exits the debuff state. This can be understood as a range attack. As long as you are within the opponent's attack range, you will definitely enter this state, and there is no way to avoid it. It can be said to be Tong Yao's nemesis. But how could Xiao Mo let Tong Yao's hard-earned confidence be shaken again? He subconsciously wanted to reach out and touch Tong Yao's head to give her comfort. But he forgot that with his current posture, he couldn't touch Tong Yao's head when he stretched out his hand, but touched the other person's waist. Tong Yao, if you are afraid, just close your eyes and let me drive without any worries. As long as I am here, you will not be harmed. Xiao Mo didn't receive a response. He looked up and found that Tong Yao seemed to be stimulated by something. Her whole body was stiff and white smoke was rising from her head. Afraid of shame? Only then did Xiao Mo realize that his actions were not appropriate. So he took his hand back and scratched his head in embarrassment. Advertisement, maybe this is good. At least Tong Yao doesn't have to be afraid. Because of the skill feature of Psychic Flash, Xiao Mo is not worried about being attacked by monsters and causing damage to Tong Yao and himself. But for the debuff state of Drum Frog, he was not sure whether he could avoid it through Psychic Flash. Therefore, Xiao Mo added some of the 5 MP points he obtained previously to Tong Yao's armor attribute. As a result, Tong Yao's original armor attribute of only 0.1 became 1.1. Even if the Psychic Flash cannot avoid the debuff damage, Tong Yao and herself will not be injured. Dong dong. When the drum-like sound of the drum frog sounded, Xiao Mo immediately felt uncomfortable. He knew that it was him and Tong Yao who were debuffed. Next, let's look at how to judge the Psychic Flicker skill. The next moment, the mecha unfolded by Xiao Mo, and Tong Yao seemed to disappear out of thin air, disappearing in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already behind Drum Frog. This is the displacement effect of Psychic Flashing, and the landing point has been pre-selected by Xiao Mo. Before the 5-headed monster could react to why it suddenly lost its target, the sound of a spear breaking through the wind rang out from behind. I saw Xiao Mo holding the end of the spear with both hands and slashing hard. Boom! The violent shock of Overlord Slash caused considerable damage to the monsters. At the same time, the freezing effect is activated, and the cold air sprayed from the spear forms ice cones that poke out from the ground, freezing the monster. After one blow, Xiao Mo decisively connected with the Frost Cross. 2 intersecting frost slashes passed through the body of the frozen monster in front of him. There were only 2 pop and pop sounds, and the ice on the 2 monsters exploded, causing double damage. That's because the Frost Cross skill has a 30% chance of freezing effect, which makes the passive skill, Ice Explosion, effective. Looking at the 2 monsters that were shattered into pieces under the effect of the ice explosion, Xiao Mo couldn't help but sigh. The effect of the passive skill Ice Explosion is really overbearing. This is the first time Xiao Mo has used combat skills. With Tong Yao's powerful strength attribute, the damage of 2 skills has eliminated all 5 monsters. Master, what just happened? Have you killed these monsters? When Tong Yao reacted from her shy state, she realized that the drum frog that had just made her nervous and frightened had now been broken into ice slag. Xiao Mo originally wanted to reach out and touch Tong Yao's head, but when he thought that he accidentally touched the other party's waist just now, Tong Yao was paralyzed, so he took his hand back. By the way, did you feel any discomfort just now, such as lowered armor or something? No, I didn't feel anything just now. When Xiao Mo asked about what happened just now, Tong Yao's head started to smoke again. It seemed that Tong Yao had misunderstood something. That was not what he asked. Chapter 20. Xiao Mo wanted to know whether Drum Frog's debuff had reduced Tong Yao's armor. In order to analyze your own Psychic Flicker skills, whether it has the effect of immunity to this type of debuff. With Tong Yao's shy look, he probably couldn't count on anything. He could only check the attributes through the system. Machine Girl, Tong Yao performance attributes. Strength 87 armor, 1.1 psionics, 88 91st armed, 65 battery life, 68 70th speed increase, 85 flexible, 92 stable, 72. Because he had just used 2 active skills and triggered a Psychic Flash, Xiao Mo had consumed 3 points of psychic attributes. In addition, the battle just now consumed 2 points of battery life, and both attribute points dropped a bit. In addition, the armor attribute has not been reduced. This shows that the debuff effect of Drum Frog is also immune to through Psychic Flash. In this way, Xiao Mo had a deeper understanding of the skill of Psychic Flashing. It seems that as long as the damage range is not an attack with a radius exceeding 100 meters, any skill that reduces armor will be immune. The psychic energy flickered, and it was more powerful than I imagined. Tong Yao, how long did it take us to enter the dungeon? Xiao Mo's voice woke up Tong Yao, who was in a shy state. Oh, the current time is 12 minutes and 49 seconds. Xiao Mo thought for a moment. He has calculated that based on the number of monsters that have been killed so far, there are still 1/3 left in the Kydra copy. Then, as long as the subsequent route does not mess with people's mentality, you will be able to encounter the dungeon boss in about 18 minutes. As long as he controls the time to clear the boss within 10 minutes and breaks Song Bowen's clearance record, there will be absolutely no problem. Then let's work harder and kill the dungeon. Okay, master. Advertisement. When speaking, Tong Yao's voice was a little unnatural, and her body was a little twitchy. Xiao Mo speculated whether Tong Yao felt uncomfortable because he just touched her waist. It seems that we have to pay more attention in the future. In a sense, Jinyang is still a girl after all. Thinking of this, Xiao Mo looked at Tong Yao lying in front of him and felt a little embarrassed. Who invented this driving posture is so easy to imagine. Why? Xiao Mo sighed. After all, in this unfolded state, any lack of concentration on the part of the driver or the machine will affect driving. As a driver, you should play a leading role. Xiao Mo put aside the complicated thoughts in his mind and concentrated on driving the mecha. Under his influence, Tong Yao gradually recovered. The mobs in Kedra's copy are almost no threat to them. Moreover, the number of drum frogs is also very small. In addition to the one encountered before, there should be one more. Judging from the previously reviewed strategies, this second drum frog is likely to be at the final boss. Sure enough, when the dungeon reached 18 minutes, a monster nearly 4 stories high appeared in Xiao Mo's sight. The leader of the Nandu Snake Demon is almost twice the size of the Nandu Snake Demon encountered before. It also has 6 arms, each holding a different weapon. Forks, machetes, swords, axes, hammers. Xiao Mo also noticed that the color of the name on the top of this boss's head was different from the monsters he encountered before. It was green. Although he didn't understand why there was such a difference, Xiao Mo had a hunch that the different colors must represent something. Xiao Mo did not continue to delve into this issue, because in this moment, they had entered the boss's attack range. There are 2 guardians on both sides of the Nandu Snake Demon leader, one on the left and one on the right. They are a drum frog and a Nanda Snake Demon. After discovering the mecha driven by Xiao Mo, the leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon let out a deafening roar and rushed towards him first. Dong dong dong. At the same time, an annoying sound sounded. It was the sonic attack of Drum Frog, which pierced Xiao Mo's eardrum like a needle, making his head hurt. This sound even gave Tong Yao a debuff effect. However, Xiao Mo had already activated his psychic flashing skill and was waiting for this moment. Because it was the second time to use psionic flash in the same copy, 2 psionic points were consumed this time. When the steel fork swung by the leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon stabbed the mecha driven by Xiao Mo fiercely, a burst of silvery white light flashed, and the mecha seemed to teleport, flashing straight to the back of the drum frog. The leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon stabbed him in the air. Xiao Mo, on the other hand, didn't stop at all and struck out at Drum Frog with a single overlord slash. There was a loud boom, and ice vines flew everywhere. Advertisement. Xiao Mo mastered the attack angle very well, and all 3 monsters, including the boss, had freezing effects. Xiao Mo was slightly surprised by this. After all, boss is different from ordinary monsters. It has a strong physique and has a certain resistance to effects such as freezing. He thought that his Overlord Slash could only freeze 2 monsters, but now it seemed that he had underestimated the dominance of Overlord Slash. However, under the influence of resistance, the ice layer on the surface of boss's body does not seem to be that thick. Xiao Mo estimated that the icing effect on the boss might not last more than 10 seconds before it would fail and break. But will he wait until the boss breaks the ice effect? Of course it's impossible. After Overlord Slash, Xiao Mo saw the right moment and directly connected with the second skill, Frost Cross. And that was the Frost Cross that consumed 4 psychic attribute points. Under the influence of the Psychic Warrior's exclusive skill, Psychic Burst, a Frost Cross that consumes 4 points of psychic energy can not only produce 4 times the damage, but also multiply the probability of freezing effects by 4. In other words, the original 30% freezing probability directly increased to 120%. Crack, click, click, crash. The sound of breaking ice sounded, and after the ice on the leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon exploded, it was once again covered with a thick layer of ice. The other 2 monsters were directly transformed into ice debris all over the place by this blow. But Xiao Mo didn't stop and continued to use the skill Comet from the sky. After jumping up, the mecha swung its spear and slammed it down, and the powerful impact directly knocked the boss away. Because the freezing probability of a comet falling from the sky is 15%, in order to activate the Ice Blast effect 100% with this blow, Xiao Mo used 7 points of spiritual energy. Crack, click, click, crash. Along with the rapid squandering of the mecha's spiritual energy value, coupled with the effects of spiritual energy burst and Ice Blast, the explosive damage caused the boss's blood volume to decrease rapidly. Master, I feel like this boss's condition seems a little not right. Tong Yao's perception was very keen, and Xiao Mo immediately controlled the mecha to retreat. After 3 rounds of attacks, the blood volume of the Nanduo Snake Demon Leader dropped below 30%, triggering a violent rage. In the violent state, the boss doubled in size, directly bursting the ice. The leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon with red eyes raised the weapon in his hand and threw it at Xiao Mo and Tong Yao crazily. In this state, the Nandu Snake Demon Leader is almost immune to all control skills, but it can only last for 30 seconds. Once the time passes, you will fall into a weak state. So Xiao Mo had already started to retreat early and distanced himself. Be prepared to wait until the leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon enters a weak state before restarting the output. Tong Yao's mecha is very light with 92 points of flexibility attribute. It can move in various snake-like positions and dodge flexibly under the frenzied attack of the Nantuo Snake Demon Leader behind him. It is estimated that even the boss will doubt which of the two is more like a snake. Chapter 21. As for whether the serpentine movement is effective in front of the snake demon, the answer is yes. Soon as the 30 seconds of violence passed, the leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon immediately seemed to wilt and stopped to take a deep breath. Xiao Mo jumped up high, performed a backflip, and then used the skill Comet Falling from the Sky to knock the boss away. Looking at the leader of the Nanduo Snake Demon frozen in midair, Xiao Mo picked up a set of skills without mercy. The explosive damage directly takes it away in one wave. The moment the boss fell, a mechanically synthesized electronic sound sounded. Congratulations to Examiner Xiao Mo and Machine Girl Tong Yao for successfully clearing the dungeon. The time to clear the copy is 20 minutes and 17 seconds, with an S rating. This announcement was played 3 times. Only after 3 times did Tong Yao react and let out an excited cheer. Master, we successfully passed the level, and it's more than 9 minutes faster than Song Bowen's clearance time. Master is so awesome. After releasing the expansion mode, Tong Yao was as happy as a child and threw herself into Xiao Mo's arms. This time, Xiao Mo was almost saved by physics. The strength of the machine girl is much greater than that of humans. When Xiao Mo moved his head up, he felt that his ribs were almost broken. He endured the pain and touched Tong Yao's round head. You're awesome too. I didn't realize before that your small body has so much power. Before Xiao Mo finished speaking, Tong Yao let go of her hand, muttered, and said angrily, I'm not young. Many sexy girls say they envy my size. Looking at Tong Yao, who was holding her chest high, Xiao Mo couldn't help but rub his nose and said with evasive eyes, It's true. It's not small, but that's not what I meant. Before Xiao Mo could explain, Tong Yao suddenly became excited, lowered her head, pinched the corners of her clothes with her fingers, and murmured like a child who had done something wrong. Yeah, sorry. Master, I got a little carried away. Tong Yao lowered her head and did not dare to look at Xiao Mo, feeling panicked. He scolded himself hundreds of times. Tong Yao, how can you talk to the master in this tone? What if the master gets angry and doesn't want you anymore? Woo woo woo. As everyone knows, Tong Yao, who is so happy that she forgets everything in Xiao Mo's heart, is also so cute. I really want to pinch her little face. The next second, Tong Yao, who was waiting for the punishment to come, felt a hand gently placed on her head, stroking her gently. Silly Tong Yao, what are you talking about? Advertisement, you didn't do anything wrong. No need to apologize. Xiao Mo originally wanted to say, just don't hit yourself so hard next time. But before the words were spoken, when he saw Tong Yao raising her head and looking at him with big watery eyes, she was speechless. Forget it. If you want to hit it, just hit it. The worst thing to do is to strengthen your exercise in the future and make your chest muscle stronger. Let's go, Tong Yao. There are people out there who owe you an apology. Xiao Mo took Tong Yao's hand and walked towards the teleportation port that appeared. Tong Yao looked at the man in front of her with warmth in her heart. Sure enough, my master is the gentlest master in the world. At the same time, in the hall of the Hunters Association, Du Zeding, who originally had his legs crossed, was getting more and more panicked. He changed his sitting position from time to time and checked his phone to confirm the time. What's going on? It's been more than 20 minutes since Xiao Mo entered the dungeon, and he hasn't been eliminated yet. Hasn't he encountered a drum frog yet? Or did the drum frog cause no harm to him? Impossible. I have seen many Kydra dungeon guides, and almost all of them cannot avoid the debuff damage of drum frog. Even professionals with dispersion skills will enter the debuff state again under sonic attacks. Therefore, it was impossible for Xiao Mo to pass through drum frog's attack without being injured. Unless he goes around. Du Ziding thought for a while and immediately ruled out this possibility. In order to ensure a certain degree of fairness in the assessment, Kydra dungeon maps generally have no forks. Only by killing all the monsters inside can you reach the final boss. Therefore, it is impossible for Xiao Mo to jump over the drum frog. Thinking of this, Du Ziding crossed his legs again, as if he had determined a certain result, with a contented expression. I understand, Xiao Mo's character. That guy is probably having a headache right now about how to deal with drum frog. After all, the Kydra copy is a man-made copy. As long as it does not enter the monster's attack range, the monster will not take the initiative to attack. Right, that must be it. But the more this happens, the more dangerous you are. Du Ziding raised his eyes and looked at the time. Don't forget that the condition I mentioned is to break Song Bowen's customs clearance record. Just as he was talking, he saw Xiao Mo and Tong Yao walking out of the room hand in hand. He saw at a glance that Xiao Mo's girlfriend's eyes were red, as if she had just cried. Subconsciously, I thought that they were crying because they failed the assessment. Advertisement. Thinking of this, Du Ziding put on a victor's attitude and stepped forward to challenge. Hey, it's only been 20 minutes and you've already failed? Xiao Mo, let me just say that your robot is a useless robot. Let me guess, you must have been defeated by the drum frog, right? With your robot girl's almost zero armor attribute, there is no possibility of clearing the level at all. Du Ziding was talking to himself, but found that Xiao Mo and Tong Yao didn't pay attention to what he meant. He gritted his teeth and said angrily, "What do you two mean? Don't think that I won't say anything if you ignore me. If you lose, you lose. You are a loser. You have to admit it." As soon as he finished speaking, the people around him looked at the display screen in the hall and screamed loudly, as if they had seen something incredible. At this time, Xiao Mo finally spoke. "I'm not talking because I'm waiting for the clearance record ranking to be refreshed. And you? What are you waiting for again? Refresh? What's the meaning?" Du Ziding turned his head without knowing why. When his eyes fell on the display screen, he couldn't help but curse. F***K. Why did Song Bowen fall to second place? The person ranked first is actually Xiao Mo? How is this possible? Xiao Mo, you are driving a defective machine girl. How can you pass the level? Du Ziding seemed to be stimulated and began to yell, "Impossible! Absolutely impossible! Xiao Mo, you can't pass the level. You are no longer the Xiao Mo who always got first place in every exam. You have fallen from the altar." Du Ziding's almost crazy voice was drowned out by the exclamations of people in the hall. Everyone is discussing the same topic. If I remember correctly, the clearance record for this dungeon was just broken yesterday. Why did someone break the record again today? The time to clear the dungeon is 20 minutes and 17 seconds. I'm going. This is more than 9 minutes faster than Song Bowen, who is ranked second. How did this person named Xiao Mo do it? Could it be that he also has a top-notch machine girl? But I remember that Song Bowen's machine girl seemed to be a top-notch machine girl. They are both top-notch machine girls, so the gap is so big. Chapter 22. In an office on the top floor of Guangyao Building, Song Yaozu was leaning on the sofa with his legs crossed, and his eyes fell on the street in front of the Hunters Association through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. Behind him, a scantily clad female secretary from Delay gently squeezed Song Yaozu's shoulders. The latter had an expression of enjoyment on his face. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and asked, "What happened to the thing I asked you to investigate?" The female secretary lowered her head and whispered in Song Yaozu's ear. At this time, if Song Yaozu turned around, he would be able to see the beauty of the female secretary at a glance. "Director Song, are you talking about Mr. Song's classmate Xiao Mo?" The person sent to follow him reported that he was in a relatively stable mood after coming out of the principal's office and did not seem to be trying to make things worse. "Then I went to Xinghe Auction House, bought a mobile phone for 10,000 yuan, and then went home." After hearing these words, Song Yaozu smiled strangely as if he had heard some joke. $10,000. Did I hear correctly? Can I still take photos of the camera girl with this little money? The secretary's body came closer and she said coquettishly, It is said that it is a defective mecha with almost zero armor properties. It was originally going to be transformed into a functional mecha. In the end, he was photographed by Xiao Mo. It seems that he is treated as a treasure. The secretary's hot breath breathed on Tong Yao's neck, and the latter's hands finally became dishonest and began to roam around the secretary's body, making her giggle. After all, he is a young boy who has never seen the world, and a defective machine can be treated as a treasure. A guy who hasn't even awakened his profession, wouldn't he still want to pilot such a defective machine girl to take the hunter assessment? How ridiculous. I thought he would make some noise because the top machine girl was taken away. Looking at it now, it turns out that I was just too worried. I don't understand how this kind of person almost became Song Bowen's inner demon. Tell your people that after today there is no need to follow Xiao Mo anymore. After all, it is just a loach and cannot make big waves. Tong Yao held his hands for a while, then suddenly remembered something and asked, "Advertisement, calculating the time. The people from the Qinglong Guild should have arrived in Hangzhou. Tell Song Bowen not to run around and be ready to go to Beijing." Most people only know that the provincial champion can get a top-level machine girl, but they don't know that this top-level machine also brings an opportunity to enter the first guild in the Dragon Kingdom, the Qinglong Guild. That was the top guild that all hunters dreamed of and couldn't even get into. All the resources of the Dragon Kingdom are unconditionally tilted towards the Qinglong Guild. Only there can you have the opportunity to stand at the top of the hunter profession. Since that boy Song Bowen wants to take this road, it's not too much for his father to help him pave the way, right? Everything has been taken care of by the Hunter Association, and Song Bowen's Hunter Qualification Certificate has also been issued. With his S-level rating, it is not difficult to enter the Qinglong Guild. The female secretary's body trembled slightly, her face flushed, and she exhaled like a blue breath. "Don't worry, Director Song. Everything has been explained. Well, I can rest assured that you will do the work. Now that the matter is done, it's time to deal with you." Director Song, how are you? The door is not closed yet." At the same time, the Hangqing branch of the Hunters Association was in the director's office. The bronze-skinned woman seemed to have heard some terrible news and said with a shocked expression, "What? You said that the provincial champion in Hangzhou is an unemployed person? How come there are still people who are unable to awaken their profession these days? Director Shintu, are you lying to me?" In front of the desk, Director Shintu spread his hands and pushed his laptop in front of the woman. "Gu Qinxi, do you think I am someone who would joke about this kind of thing? If you don't believe it, see for yourself. This is the list of those who have awakened this time in Hangzhou. It is clearly registered on it that Xiao Mo, this year's top pick in Hangqing province, has not awakened any profession." The woman named Gu Qinxi looked at the details again and again, her expression changing from suspicion to shock, and then from shock to confusion. She closed the laptop with a snap, threw it back to Shintu Xiaowei, and said with a serious face, "The provincial champion is an unemployed person. You, the director of the Hangqing Hunters Association, didn't report such a big thing? Advertisement, tell me what you are going to do." Shintu Xiaowei caught the computer and looked at it distressedly. After confirming that it was not broken, he said with a smile, "Hee hee. Think about it. Why does the country award a top-notch machine girl to each provincial champion? It's not just that we want to recruit into the Azure Dragon Guild those who have the most theoretical knowledge and potential to pilot robot girls. It is indeed a pity that Xiao Mo did not awaken his profession, but apart from him, there are many capable students in Hangzhou. As long as one of them is selected and the top machine girl is awarded to him, won't the country's goal be achieved? As for the Qinglong Guild, as long as you don't tell them, they don't know whether the person you brought is the provincial champion in Hangzhou. Tell me, is this the case?" With that said, Shintu Xiaowei opened the drawer, took out a bank card from the inside, and pushed it in front of Gu Qinxi. The meaning was obvious, that he was going to use money to bribe this member of the Qinglong Guild named Gu Qinxi to help them get through this matter. But Gu Qinxi didn't even look at the bank card. The look he looked at Shintu Xiaowei became even colder, as if he was about to pierce through it with a sharp dagger. The office suddenly became very quiet, and you could hear a pin drop. Gu Qinxi finally understood why the people from the association kept his wife out when she entered the office. It turned out that he was going to do this kind of little trick that wouldn't be on the table. Seeing that the other party did not speak, Shintu Xiaowei coughed twice and broke the silence. "I know that there is no shortage of money for elites like you who belong to the T1 team in the Azure Dragon Guild. Maybe you don't like this method either. But I can say this, the other party's connections in the Dragon Kingdom are not enough to be able to go sideways, but it is still possible to deal with some people above. Moreover, the top machine girl has also contracted with Song Bowen. Even if you report this matter, It won't change anything. It will just cause more trouble for yourself. After so many years of struggling in society, they are all shrewd people. There is no need to say anything out loud. Just point it out. I saw Gu Qinxi's fist squeezed hard and finally let go. Shintu Xiaowei is right. In fact, this kind of thing is common in other places, and the methods are everywhere. If he awakens the combat profession, Gu Qinxi can still find a way to help him fight for this opportunity. But he happens to be an unemployed person, so there is no doubt that this piece of cake will become the object of competition for many people. Even if he tried his best to help, it would have no effect at all. Thinking of this, Gu Qinxi could only choose to compromise. The Song Bowen you were talking about must have taken the Wilderness Hunter Qualification Assessment. How is his clearance score? Chapter 23. Hearing Gu Qinxi's question, Shinta Xiaowei guessed that she had compromised, and smiled meaningfully. Don't worry, if his clearance score is too low, I will reject it without you having to say it. You can rest assured of this. As he spoke, he clicked on Song Bowen's Hunter Qualification Assessment results and said with a hint of pride, "See for yourself. The clearance time is 29 minutes and 54 seconds, and the clearance rating is S level, directly breaking Lu Yuntao's record. Such results are no worse than those of the provincial champions in previous years, right? By the way, if I remember correctly, Lu Yuntao was the provincial champion 3 years ago, and he must be in the Qinglong Guild now. His clearance time was 30 minutes and 12 seconds, and he stayed in our association branch for 3 years. Song Bowen's record should be maintained for 2 or 3 years." This time, Gu Qinxi did not refute. Even if you are driving a top-notch machine, if the driver's own strength and driving skills are not enough, it will not be able to perform well. Judging from the results, this guy named Song Bowen is indeed pretty good and worthy of joining the Qinglong Guild for training and training. Let this person named Song Bowen come to the airport to find me before 5 o'clock in the afternoon to catch the evening flight to Beijing. Also, don't mention this be ******** Di Lu Yuntao's name in front of me in the future. After leaving these words, Gu Qinxi turned around and left the office. Shintu Xiaowei snorted coldly and put the bank card back into the drawer. The people in the Qinglong Guild have bad tempers. You can't help it if you have a bad temper, and I can't control it. But if you don't want the money in this card, it belongs to me. This is the original intention of the establishment of the Qinglong Guild, which is to give everyone in the Dragon Kingdom a chance to compete fairly. In the end, these opportunities still fell into the hands of certain forces. How could ordinary people fight? But these have nothing to do with me. I just need to take care of myself. Shintu Xiaowei leaned back on the recliner and took a nap lazily. But what he didn't know was that at the moment he closed his eyes, Song Bowen, who was originally ranked first on the ranking list, suddenly dropped to the second position. The person who squeezed him down was Xiao Mo, who had been deprived of his wife and opportunity by Song Bowen. When Gu Qinxi went down to the hall of the Hunters Association, he found that the hall was in a commotion. All the voices were discussing Xiao Mo and his machine girl Tong Yao. When he heard the content of their discussion clearly, Gu Qinxi was very surprised. Didn't Shintu Xiaowei say that Xiao Mo didn't awaken his profession? How can a non-professional pass the Hunter Professional Assessment? It wasn't until Gu Qinxi saw the number 1 name on the display that he was convinced that he had heard correctly. Advertisement. Her expression was as if she had seen a ghost. That be *********** D. Shinta Xiaowei. Is he lying to me? No. I have to let him explain this matter. Just when Gu Qinxi was about to go back to settle the score with Shintu Xiaowei, he saw the young man he had cared about before. After hearing the conversation between him and another person, he couldn't help but stop and said in shock, "It's actually him. Du Ziding. I drove Tong Yao to clear the dungeon, and I also broke Song Bowen's record. According to the agreement, you have to apologize to my wife." Unfortunately, Du Ziding seemed to be too stimulated by this incident, and his whole person seemed a little abnormal. "Hello. You haven't apologized yet." Du Ziding stumbled out of the Hunters Association hall. No matter how Xiao Mo shouted, it was of no use. Tong Yao tugged on Xiao Mo's clothes and said weakly, "Master, it doesn't matter whether he apologizes or not, because we have proven with our strength that I am not a waste machine." Xiao Mo glanced at the names on the ranking list and nodded with a smile. "You're right." He was very happy because his girl finally became much more confident than before. At this time, the association staff came forward, handed a certificate to Xiao Mo, and said respectfully, "Mr. Xiao Mo, this is your Hunter ID?" Xiao Mo took the certificate and glanced at the big S on it, the highest level score. He knew that the S-level rating was the limit of the rating standard, but it was not the limit for Xiao Mo and Tong Yao. If there are ratings above S level, then his and Tong Yao's clearance scores will definitely exceed S level. Tong Yao, let's go home and tell my father and sister the good news. Well, okay. Just when they were about to leave, they were stopped by someone. Xiao Mo, please wait a moment. Looking back, he saw that the person calling him was a woman with bronze skin. The clothes he wore were even more revealing, and I don't know how much fabric he saved for the country. Xiao Mo didn't recognize the woman in front of him, so he pointed at himself in confusion and said, "Advertisement, are you calling me?" Gu Chenxi looked around. There are many surveillance cameras in the hall of the Hunter Association. I am a member of the Qinglong Guild, and I want to confirm something with you. But this is not the place to talk. Come with me. With that said, he quickly walked out of the hall. Although Xiao Mo was puzzled, he still followed. In a coffee shop with little business in Hangzhou, Gu Chenxi and Xiao Mo were sitting face to face. Because Gu Chenxi didn't want Jinyang to know the content of their conversation, he asked his Jinyang and Tong Yao to wait outside the coffee shop. Gu Chenxi asked straight to the point, "Xiao Mo, I remember that your machine girl Tong Yao is a machine girl with almost zero armor, right? If you can drive a defective robot and successfully clear the Kydra instance and break the clearance record, your talent is very high. You know, the vast majority of hunters are unable to clear the Kedra dungeon without taking any damage. This shows that your mecha control skills can be said to have reached the level of pure fire. If you have a top-notch machine and a good platform, your future achievements will definitely be limitless. What our Qinglong Guild needs is talents like you. Are you interested in joining us?" Gu Chenxi had already made a decision when he asked this question. Although Shintu Xiaowei and the family behind Song Bowen reached a private dirty deal, the quota to join the Qinglong Guild was given to Song Bowen, but she couldn't stand what they were doing. The reason why the country rewards the provincial #1 top machine girl and the quota to join the Qinglong Guild is to give everyone, including those at the bottom, a fair chance to compete. But now, this opportunity has been forcibly taken by some financial groups and selfish people. What's fair about that? Therefore, as long as Xiao Mo agrees to join the Qinglong Guild, even if he has to face revenge from some people in the future, Gu Chenxi will help Xiao Mo take back this opportunity. Although doing so would not do her any good and would cause a lot of trouble. But at least for her, she can have a clear conscience. Xiao Mo did not give a direct answer. Naturally, he didn't want to refuse an invitation from a top guild like the Qinglong Guild. But there was something in Gu Chenxi's words that he couldn't agree with. Xiao Mo took a sip of coffee and asked, "I have a question. If I join the Blue Dragon Guild, what will you do with my machine girl?" Chapter 24. We can also assign you a top-level mecha girl with powerful attributes. As long as you understand the status of the Qinglong Guild, you will not doubt that we have such economic strength. As for your robot girl, Tong Yao, after you join the Qinglong Guild, I suggest you stop driving. It is not difficult to judge from Gu Chenxi's previous words that what she values is Xiao Mo's driving skills and talent. So her answer now did not surprise Xiao Mo at all. But Tong Yao means a lot to Xiao Mo. In his heart, Tong Yao is not just a girl in a mobile phone, but more like his own family. Xiao Mo thought so from the moment he brought her home from the auction. Can family members be abandoned just like that? Therefore, Xiao Mo's answer was decisive. Then I'm sorry, I refuse to join the Qinglong Guild. Why? If you don't want to be separated from your current girlfriend, you can take her with you. We will not force you to separate. But you have to know that as long as you continue to be a scavenger, the copies you will face in the future will be far more dangerous than the Kydra copy. The monsters encountered were not the same as those in the Kydra copy. If you continue to drive this mecha, not only you will be hurt, but also your mecha. It is even possible that you will die together in the dungeon. If you really care about your mecha girl, then you shouldn't take her to dangerous dungeons. Gu Chenxi thought that he had explained the pros and cons clearly, and any normal person would know how to make a choice. But she didn't see any sign of wavering on Xiao Mo's face. Xiao Mo looked through the glass window of the cafe at Tong Yao, who was talking to Gu Chenxi's robot girl outside, and gave a warm smile. You know, before yesterday, I was still unemployed. Not to mention becoming a scavenger hunter, he couldn't even pilot a mecha girl and unfold it into a mecha. The classmates around me looked at me as if I were an alien and wanted to stay away from me. Tong Yao's experience is very similar to mine. In your eyes, she is a robot with huge performance flaws. No one wanted to drive her. We were both abandoned. But, do you dare to believe it? It was this machine that was despised by everyone that made me awaken and become a professional. But now, you want me to abandon her and drive another mecha? Sorry, I can't do that. Advertisement, I can answer you very firmly. If you ask me to abandon Tong Yao, then even if it is the best guild in the world, I will not go. After hearing Xiao Mo's words, Gu Chenxi's face was full of disbelief. She didn't expect that Xiao Mo's awakening career was actually related to Tong Yao. So, if Xiao Mo abandoned Tong Yao for his own development at this time, he would indeed be labeled ungrateful. If this choice were placed in front of him, Gu Qinzi thought that he would not be able to be as firm as Xiao Mo. If she had only been impressed by Xiao Mo's talent and potential before, now she kind of admired Xiao Mo Gu Qinzi's side slightly. Well, since you've said that, I won't force you to do anything. If you need any help in the future, you can call me. As he spoke, he wrote his contact information on a napkin and handed it to Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo took it and thanked him. Thank you for buying me coffee, bye. When he walked out of the coffee shop, Tong Yao waved goodbye to Gu Qinzi's phone girl, then trotted over with a smile. Master, what do the people from the Azure Dragon Guild want to do with you? Xiao Mo thought about it and decided not to tell Tong Yao about the topic just now, for fear that it would cause her more trouble. Oh, she invited me for coffee. Tong Yao blinked her eyes in confusion and asked, So, is the coffee good? It's not tasty. Why? Because it's too bitter. I still prefer to drink sweet. Gu Qinzi watched the two people with a special relationship gradually disappearing around the corner of the street, and couldn't help but think of the time he had with his own robot girl. It seemed like he had also had a similar period of time, but somehow, they gradually became more and more obsessed with power. Those things that were originally very important are slowly being forgotten. After taking a look at his own robot girl, Chengguang, Gu Qinzi asked, What did you and Tong Yao talk about just now? When asked this question, Chengguang was stunned. She remembered that her master only cared about training every day and didn't pay much attention to other things. Why did you suddenly become interested in the topic of conversation between me and the other girls today? Although there were many questions in his mind, Chengguang still answered truthfully, Oh, nothing. She just asked me a question. Is there any way to improve the armor attribute? After hearing this, Gu Qinzi showed unprecedented interest and unconsciously took Chengguang's arm, asking as they walked, So how did you answer her? Advertisement, orange light. Whose arm was held, trembled. She remembered that a long time ago, Gu Qinzi liked to hold her arm like this, and the two of them were as close as two sisters. But after staying in the Qinglong Guild for a while, she would never hold my arm like this again. What happened today? But no matter what the reason is, Chengguang still likes this kind of master more, which is a little warmer than before. Of course, I told her the training methods I have used over the years. It can be seen that this girl named Tong Yao is also very motivated. Very similar to me back then. By the way, master, what did you talk about with Tong Yao's master in the cafe? When Xiao Mo was mentioned, Gu Qinzi's eyes became brighter. He is a very interesting guy. I will tell you as we walk. At the same time, in the top floor office of Guangyao Building, a sudden phone call interrupted the enjoyment of Song Yaozu and his female secretary. Although he was a little impatient, he still patiently picked up the phone when he saw the caller ID showed it was his son Song Bowen. The next second, Song Bowen's almost crazy voice came from the phone. Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo took part in the Wasteland Hunter assessment and passed it successfully. Upon hearing the news, Song Yaozu was also stunned and pushed away the female secretary who was still reluctant to leave and whispered in his arms. Are you mistaken? Isn't Xiao Mo a non-professional? How could he possibly take part in the Wasteland Hunter assessment? However, Song Bowen became even more furious and said, At first I thought it was a rumor, but then someone sent me this. I'll transfer it to you now. With a ding-dong sound, Song Yaozu received the photos sent by Song Bowen. The photo shows the display screen in the lobby of the Wasteland Hunters Association. After zooming in, Song Yaozu's pupils suddenly shrank and his face was full of anger. Although the female secretary who was pushed away was a little dissatisfied, when she saw Song Yaozu's expression, she knew that something big must have happened. How is this possible? He actually broke your clearance record? How come no one told me about such a big thing? After hearing this, the female secretary hurriedly went to get her cell phone without even having time to put on her clothes. When I saw this, I was stunned. In order to protect herself and Song Yaozu from being disturbed, she had just switched her cell phone to silent mode. Now, she saw that there were more than a dozen missed calls. The person who called was the spy he sent to keep an eye on Xiao Mo. She also saw the photo that made Song Yaozu furious on her mobile phone. Chapter 25. Dad, didn't you say you would send someone to keep an eye on Xiao Mo? Tell me where he is and I will go find Xiao Mo now. On the phone, Song Bowen's voice was almost crazy. Song Yaozu could already imagine what kind of state Song Bowen would be in at this moment. As the young master of the Guangyao group, his son has enjoyed the best treatment since he was a child, and he also has a strong competitive spirit. Unlike some other playboys, he set his goal early on to become the strongest hunter. Therefore, Before high school, his scores in all subjects were the first in the school. Until I went to high school and met that guy named Xiao Mo. At that time, Song Bowen tasted failure for the first time. All the glory he once had was taken away by Xiao Mo, and he, no matter how hard he tried, could only be second. Unknowingly, Xiao Mo became his inner demon, a gap that could never be crossed. Originally, he thought that all this would become a thing of the past when Xiao Mo was unable to awaken his profession. But now, God played a joke on him again. Once again, let that guy step on his head hard. Song Bowen was very unwilling. Song Yaozu naturally knew this. So at that time, he would not hesitate to snatch away Xiao Mo's top machine girl and let him taste what it felt like to be stepped on by his own son. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Bowen, I know you can't accept it now, but you have to calm down. The people from the Qinglong Guild are waiting for you at Hangqing Airport. For you, the most important thing now is to follow her to Beijing and join the Qinglong Guild. I will help you deal with your inner demons. But, no buts. This is an order. I know you are eager to prove yourself now, but this opportunity to join the Qinglong Guild is something I won for you with great difficulty. You must seize it. If you want to challenge Xiao Mo, you will have plenty of time when you come back from Qinglong Guild, so I rush. And at that time, you will find that he, a little Xiao Mo, has no qualifications to become your inner demon. Your future heights are simply beyond his reach. Perhaps Song Yaozu's words had an effect, and Song Bowen gradually calmed down. Yes, the Qinglong Guild is the #1 guild in the country. Advertisement: those who come out of the Qinglong Guild are all outstanding among people. I have been waiting for 3 years of high school, no less than 1.5 years. When he returns from his experience, he will definitely take back his own glory from Xiao Mo. After convincing Song Bowen, Song Yaozu no longer had the interest to continue. He put on his clothes and said with an indifferent expression, "Go and check where Xiao Mo's father works, and then buy that company." Then a banning order was issued, leaving Xiao Mo no chance to join all the large guilds in Hangzhou. I want him to know that ordinary people like them should lie down under my feet. At the same time, Xiao Mo, who returned home, was surprised to find a Maybach parked at the door. When I entered the house, I saw a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s sitting in the living room with his father, talking and laughing. "Is there a visitor at home? Dad, I didn't expect you to have any rich friends." Xiao Mo leaned close to Xiao Shenhe's ear and whispered, "You think too highly of me. My friends are all ordinary workers. How can they afford to drive such an expensive car? But you actually have such a rich friend." This time, Xiao Mo was even more surprised. He widened his eyes and looked carefully at the middle-aged man with a smile on his face. No matter how he looked at him, he couldn't remember when he knew such a person. Until the other party takes the initiative to speak. "You are Xiao Mo, right? I'm Master Su's butler, and I'm here to give you something." After hearing these words, Xiao Mo's expression changed from doubt to surprise. "Master Su? You mean Su Xiao, Su Yunian?" "Exactly. Since he is giving me something, why doesn't he come by himself? And he made an appointment with me to take the Wilderness Hunter Qualification Assessment together today. Why did he let me go? I called him several times, but no one answered. I thought he had been kidnapped and almost wanted to call the police." The middle-aged man who claimed to be the Su family's butler took a sip of tea and explained with a smile, "Don't worry, Xiao Mo, no one dares to kidnap Master Su. The reason why he didn't answer your call is because he is undergoing special training in Shangjing City." "Special training?" Advertisement. Xiao Mo then remembered that when he and Su Yunian were training at the auction house yesterday, Su Yunian answered the phone and hurried home. Now that I think about it, it turned out that I was rushing to Shangjing City. Now that the misunderstanding has been resolved, Xiao Mo is no longer worried. Although he was a little curious about what kind of special training it was, the other party didn't explain it clearly, so it was hard for him to ask. After that, the butler put a box of money and a small box on the table. "The 900,000 here is what the young master owes you. He asked me to tell you thank you for taking the photo of the daisies for him. He likes that machine very much. In addition, the things in this box are specially given to you by the young master as a thank you. He said you should use it." Xiao Mo opened the box curiously and saw a beautifully packaged crystal card inside. The crystal card was purple in color and was only a little larger than a fingernail. When Xiao Mo saw this crystal card, he was stunned, because an attribute interface appeared in his sight. Battle Crystal Card, Immovable Pluto Armed, -47 Introduction. The machine girl equipped with this combat body crystal card can spawn the combat body, Immovable Pluto. When the Immovable Pluto battle body is spawned, all attributes of the mecha are increased by 30%, and there is a certain probability of rebounding the damage received. In addition, the strength attribute is additionally plus 15, the armor attribute is additionally plus 10, the stability attribute is additionally plus 10, the maximum maintenance time is 10 minutes, and the cooling time is 24 hours. To bring out the battle body effect, you need to consume 10 points of battery life attribute at one time. Once the 10 minutes are up, or the 10 armor points are exhausted, the battle body effect will be automatically exited. Is this a purple grade battle crystal card? Xiao Mo didn't expect that what Su Yunian was going to give him would be such a precious battle crystal card. The hands holding the box couldn't help but tremble slightly. As we all know, the existence of the machine girl's armed attributes is used to assemble combat crystal cards. Brushing the combat body can greatly improve the attributes of the mecha. If used properly, it can often successfully turn the tide of a battle. From what Xiao Mo learned, there are 5 levels of battle crystal cards: white, blue, purple, gold, and diamond. The higher the grade, the rarer the combat crystal card, and the more outrageous the price. The price of a purple battle crystal card is almost the same as that of a high-performance machine girl, which starts at least 4 to 5 million. Is this the confidence of a rich second generation to give away such expensive things as they please? Tong Yao also saw the preciousness of this battle crystal card at a glance. Although she couldn't see through the effect of the battle crystal card at a glance like Xiao Mo did. But the machine girl's intuition told her that this battle crystal card could make up for her attribute defects to a certain extent. Reason told her that she must not move before Xiao Mo accepted this battle crystal card. But it didn't stop her eyes from shining, and her saliva was almost flowing from the corners of her mouth.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.